because I didn't turn on the microphone. Now they can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, also, I think I had it all the way up because we were doing birds. Say something. Talk normal.
Hello.
It's good. I think it's good. Yeah, nice timing. We're being rated by the people that we rated. That's how long we've been not streaming today. Just long enough. I sent all of my people to Spider ID, and Spider ID brought them all back to us. Thanks for that. I'll get this out of Laura's way so she can just do the SEM stuff, and I will try to handle the
Do we need to do
social
these
stuff.
ones?
Yeah, but you need to zoom in if you want to do the wobble, because you can't do it from this
But
far
I don't
out.
know if I'm.
We need to be
Yeah,
nice
I'll-
and close to something. And yes, she's learning how to use the SEM. Laura is my grad student. She's getting her master's degree. This started this semester, although the semester is now over. And so she's been here for 1 semester and 2 days.
3
But
days with
3
this
days.
one.
Yeah, this is the 3rd day.
I don't know if this one is a good one.
Well, first we need to get it into focus, so it's a little out of focus.
A lot.
Or a lot. I was trying to be polite.
I don't know.
June Lake. You talked about June Lake before, Frosty? June Lake, California? Oh, look at that.
Very pretty. There you
We're
go.
already zoomed in looking at the bell-faced photoportula. And you probably, if you get a little closer, we could actually
no,
do
not
the
this one. I want this one.
the wobble.
This one.
You want the cleanest one.
So this one.
Mhm.
Okay.
You used to dirt bike all around there and boat and everything else. Oh, very cool.
How do you make it bigger?
The box?
Yes.
Right click and drag.
Right click. Oh. Okay, there. I don't know. Oh.
Good. Put it in the center. I guess double click to get rid of the box. And then put it in the center. You could do it that way.
Or the easy way. There.
And now hit the wobble button. Let's see how wobbly it is.
With this one, right?
Yep. Yep. Just
next.
It's not moving at all.
Nope. That's good.
That's fine.
Finish.
Yeah. So only thing you can do if you want is to stigmate. Do you remember how to do that?
Maybe.
You're most of the way there.
And it's this one.
Yep. The stigmation button. And then everything is on the panel.
But did it do something?
Yeah, it's changed the panel to say stigmators.
Oh, I don't know if I wanna.
Just play with it. What's the worst that can happen? I'm right here.
I
can
made
fix
it ugly last time.
I can fix it. It'll be fine.
Do it with these ones, right?
Yeah, the 2 outer ones. It's just like focusing. It's the same thing. So just do one and then the other till it looks good or as good as it's going to look. It seems like it's getting worse now.
Yes.
You had it for a second.
I think
Yeah,
around there.
You can see there's a little like dark spot right there.
Yes.
If you have that at the peak dark point, you'll have it at the right place.
Oops. I think it's worse
Yeah,
now.
it's definitely getting worse.
Around there, I think it's the best.
Okay. Did you do the other knob?
Yes.
Okay. Try the focus knob again, just to make sure. So one of the, oh, I guess this is beam intensity 6. So we're super zoomed. So this is 500 nanometers, so we're pretty close. So at that point, really we're talking about just fine, really fine focus.
Details.
So probably we'll come back to this and do it again. For now, it's good enough if you want to zoom out.
Do I need to move the stage?
Oh, that'll also help, yeah. That's the other problem, is we're not very close. So it may help to be a lot closer. What are we looking at? We're looking at a staphylococcus, the internal view of Staphylococcus niagara. Yeah. Now we're moving the stage up towards the actual cone.
Oh, okay.
And that will actually enhance our ability to magnify things that are really tiny.
Okay, there
So we were really far away, and Laura was trying to get the image in super clear focus. And I think if you want to go back to that, we probably should bring it all the way up to 5.
5?
Yeah. So that it's going to be nice and clean.
Oh.
It's terrifying when you're on this side.
Okay.
And hello, Devil and Mrs. J. Welcome back. It feels like we just talked. MRSJ. And also, I should give out a shout out to Spider ID. Thank you for bringing people over, Spider ID. Keep going.
There.
You had it. You just had to keep going in that direction.
Okay, that's better. I think
It's pretty sharp.
that's the...
Okay.
Okay. Should we
So-
try the estimation again or no?
Oh, yeah, you can. So let's see. Zoom in a little bit. That's nice. Is it? Yeah, it's on stigmation.
No. I don't think I'm making it better.
Well, that's possible that you're not. One of the things is the box is probably a little small because we have the whole screen in there. Now try.
No. Around there.
Keep going.
More?
Yeah,
Ah.
that's the wrong
No.
way. The other way. Keep going.
No, it's going to be ugly again.
Okay, you're right.
Around there. No, there.
Try the focus knob now.
This one?
Yeah.
Think there.
And try the other stigmation. The other side. There you go. Just that one was a
no.
little out. You had it? You gotta go back to it.
Nope. It was very pretty.
You had
There.
it. There. Pretty close. Okay. Now we zoom out. Make it look good. There you go. And then
There we are.
we're actually on beam intensity 6, which is probably a little
Too little?
too dark.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm gonna.
Now we need to balance it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a second stream in one day. I don't think I'm going to stream again this evening. I think 2 is good.
I would think so.
I got stuff I have to get done. I can't spend all day on Twitch. But,
Wow, there's a lot.
this is my normal planned stream time, so we'll see what happens next week. Probably I'll do it to keep on the same time schedule next week, but then the following week, the SURE program starts here, which means I'll have a bunch of undergraduates in my lab, and they'll be looking and working on stuff, and we might be on the SEM quite a bit. I don't know that we'll stream all of it, but at least currently the plan is to be in here for several days a week and looking through.
They're all working on diatoms?
Yes. Looking through some of the stuff from Mary's got a set of cores from the Wabash River. And I'm not positive what Eleanor's going to work on. Probably a rice project with Dr. Yost. And then...
That's exciting. So phytoliths mostly?
Diatoms, I think.
Okay.
Chad's going to look at the phytoliths.
Ah.
And then I think Rihanna has been working and will continue to work on some stuff, a couple of projects using the micromanipulator and also doing some taxonomy. So we'll need the SEM for that. And then we'll probably also take a look at some of the stuff that Mary's been working on over the semester. She took a microscope home and was playing with it. Do you know what that is?
No, this shape, this raphy.
It's curved.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a clue.
I want to say pinnularia.
It's a pinnularia.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the light microscope, they're very obvious. But in the SEM, it's really challenging to identify them. If you zoom way in on the stria,
the thing is that I think it might be
striae.
Covered or something. They're not very obvious.
Keep going in. There's little tiny holes associated with the
I want to make
pinnularia
it smaller.
striae.
Oh no!
They're very small.
There. Maybe around here.
Oh, you're hitting it. You're trying to focus it?
Yes.
I would put it on that piece of junk right there that's next to it. Because it has very sharp boundaries.
I don't know. That's not what.
Or the Raphi. Also, you had the Raphi in focus
Yes.
pretty good. You could also try the Raphi.
Okay.
Zoom in on it and then try to focus on it. And hello, Commander Shafard.
There. That's pretty.
Yeah. So if you go look at those striae, you might be able to actually see the pores, but they're very small usually.
Should I get closer?
Yeah, a lot closer. Like you can kind of see them there, right?
A little bit,
Just a little
yes.
bit. So either it needs some focus or it could just be that they're partially covered. Yeah, because it's not really clear, right?
No, I don't know. Should I try to maybe focus it?
Yeah, what could hurt?
I don't think I'm getting
No.
anything.
They're hard to get. You know, they show up actually really faintly. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can see them better from back out here than you can in zoomed in.
Okay, let's go back.
You need to double click.
There, these ones. Like
Yeah. It's fine. They're very, very subtle. There you go. the raphes in very sharp focal. So one of the things I should say about Pinularia raphes, so in the light microscope, they look like they're very wide, right?
Yeah.
Like they get wide and skinny,
Uh-huh.
and
that
they look
this
like they
is
flip
why?
over. So what they're actually doing, which is kind of cool, is if you were looking at it like as a vertical slot that's going through the diatom, when they get wide, what happens is they do this. So it's actually the slot turns sort of sideways, and so where it comes in versus where it comes out
It's
are
okay.
offset.
Uh-huh.
And so what it looks like in the light microscope, because you're seeing through it, it looks like it's getting wider,
Wider.
and thinner.
Uh-huh.
But they'll actually flip over because it actually does this as you move up the length of the raphe. So you see the trace on the surface kind of wobbles,
Yes.
and on the inside the trace of it also wobbles, but it wobbles in the opposite direction. So they look like they're flipping over.
Yeah. Okay,
in the
that
light
makes
microscope,
sense.
but they're actually single slots, and they're just shifting which way they're leaning.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing how you can like see something in the SEM, and then you look at it and you think, why doesn't it have this feature that I'm used to seeing, right? Where the raphe flips
Well,
over.
the SEM definitely changed my perspective because I had never used something like this. I just had the regular microscope, so things I thought I knew how they looked like now.
Trust me. When I first got the SEM was like 2.5 years ago, and I was just like, that's what that looks like? Like, I was completely confused. And I've looked at a lot of
Yeah.
stuff in SEM before, but like, Pinularia was the one that was most confusing to me, because I would see a diatom like this, and when they're really small, you don't have it on 30 kilovolts. If we dialed it down to 10 kilovolts, for example, you wouldn't even be able to see the chambers, the striae chambers on the inside. So the costi would not be apparent, and it just looked like it had a raphe and nothing.
Nothing else?
And I was like, what is
What
this?
is this?
I was completely confused by it. Now I run everything at 30 kV, but
Is it broken or what happened?
I'm not sure. It could be slightly broken there. And then you've got a really nice Lindavia right next to it as well.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
We have this fragilaria, right?
Yeah, that's a Fragilaria crotonensis. If you use the mouse to point, then people will know what you're talking about.
And this one.
You point with your finger, they
And
can't see.
This one's Lindavia, and this one's the fragilaria.
Also, your head's just kind of floating.
Oops.
There you go. They can see you, and also my
Oh,
arm.
Leucocyra,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Oh, there's a lot. Epithemia, right? Or I don't know. I think so, but
Yeah, it's epithemia. You need to just trust that you know.
oh, and a chrysophyte and everything.
Yep, you got a chrysophyte as well. You got a whole collection of things.
Yes.
You didn't look down at the bottom part of the screen when you started, apparently.
No, I
There's-
just looked at the huge
this one?
pinularia. Maybe amphora?
Amphora. And then this is another little Lindavia that's really tiny. You can
This
see the
one's
differences in the
Stephanodiscus.
sizes. And then there's a Stephanodiscus, yeah.
Yes.
And there's just a girdle band floating around without any diatom,
Attached to it.
unattached.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to go up, find June,
No.
find your folder. I think they're alphabetical.
Jack's June.
Also, I took some pictures after you left last time because you had a meeting or something, right? And,
I think so.
I took some really nice photos, by the way. They're in your folder.
I should take the ones from last time as well, so I can train in June Lake identification.
Yeah. So in less than a month, you're going to be at June Lake.
Yes.
And so Laura's going to go out into the field with Dr. Mike McGlue, who is the person who collected this core originally. And she's going to collect some cores, do some field sampling, and some modern environment sampling. And yeah, a girdle band. What you're looking at right there is an Alicosira.
Yes.
It looks like two
There's
siblings
two
or
of them.
something. I think there's actually a
I
set of
think-
spines in the middle right there.
Yes, the paddle-shaped ones.
These are Alicosira. They used to be called crenulata, but I think they belong with Italica.
Okay.
I think they found that the crenulata was just a morphotype of Italica.
These Alicosira, they...
Yeah.
Hmm.
They're troublesome.
Yes. I don't know. Do you think I can get it better?
I do.
In focus, because it's weird.
Yeah, I don't think it's completely in focus. Zoom into the paddle-shaped spines. They will help.
Huh, but I don't know where they are.
They're right in there. You had it for a second. Keep going backwards.
Nope. No. That little dot,
I think
I
they're
don't know.
actually visible when you had it. I saw them for a second.
I don't know.
Try spinning. Keep going. The other way. There. Oh.
There?
I don't know. Keep going. I saw the spine show up when you were spinning it around, actually. You're being too timid.
Now I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
Zoom out a little and try to get it into focus more generally. There, you had them for a second again. There they are. They just flash for a second when you get to the right elevation.
I think...
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, zoom in again. Yeah, it's sharp.
That's better.
Is that a boat-shaped diatom? It's a stick-shaped diatom. These are diatoms in a colony. It's Alicosira italica forma crenulata, or something like that. I don't know. You might be able to find a better example. That one's got, it looks like it's a little,
I think it's covered.
it's
or-
actually just a little bit buried underneath the other diatom, I think. And it's making it hard for the...
like making shadow for
Yep,
the
yep,
electrons.
it's in the shadow.
Okay, let's go to this one then.
You have so many other diatoms on the stage that you could, focus on that might be better. So,
Good news, everyone.
Let's look at this one.
on the right, probably. I don't know where you were looking.
This one?
Yeah, that's amphora, remember?
Yes.
And it's the backside, so we're just seeing the girdle bands, basically.
Okay, so no.
And on the left-hand side up there at the top was the one we took a picture of initially, which is sort of boat-shaped.
The
it's a pinnularia.
pinnularia.
And that is the inside view of the Lindavia that you see at the top of the screen on the left that we took a picture of before, which is intermedia. And this should have some really nice, the valve face photoportula are very nice. And we should be able to get we
This
can see
one?
that those are the Rhemoportula, yep.
And
Yep,
maybe
yep,
this one?
that's the other one. They're always diametric, or if there's three of them, they're always in like a triangular shape position. And then you're just taking a picture. You didn't want to zoom in and get close and focus it.
I'm taking a picture and then exploring.
Okay. Straight to the picture.
Yes.
You're ready. Hotel to Tango. This is the inside of the diatom. So diatoms are single-celled organisms with a silica wall that has two parts. And so often when they die, the girdle bands, which are holding them together, here's a fake diatom.
Okay,
it's made out of plastic. I think they could see, but it's okay. And they have sort of a girdle band that wraps around this part, and when they die, it allows them to crack open. This one's just plastic, and it doesn't have an inside. But this is the outside then, and the inside would be this view, which is what we actually see on the screen right now.
Tried my best to.
I think you're also now pointed. Your head's
I'm floating again.
Your head's floating.
Is that better?
It's better. A little bit. Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
So, like any three-dimensional object, it will have an outside and an inside, basically. And for the diatoms, the outside and the inside have totally different appearances. And in fact,
which is confusing at first,
it's
but
confusing.
then you
It's confusing in the SEM because in the light microscope you see through the diatoms, and it doesn't matter which way they are, inside or outside. They basically look the same because you look through them. But on the scanning electron microscope, they have topography, and so the insides and the outsides look very different from each other. And I can tell it's the inside because these structures right here, the manta photoportula, they don't have an expression on the outside of the diatom, and the rhemoportula just are a little hole on the outside, but on the inside they're these sort of lip-shaped things. They look like a little mouth. And then there's a lamina that's coming over the strutted processes that are on the margins as well. So there's marginal photoportula and valve face photoportula, and then there's also these areolae on the valve face for this diatom. And so you can tell the inside from the outside pretty quickly once you know what features are present.
to look for.
Yeah, if you know what you're looking for. The outside, it would just have a bunch of dots. And we took a picture, if you were here a little bit earlier, where you could see the outside version of this. Same diatom. It was next to the pinnularia. This is Lindavia intermedia. And since I'm moderating my own channel right now, that's Lindavia.
it's this one, the other part of it.
Do they have cell walls and membranes as well as the silica shell?
The cell wall is the silica.
Yeah, the frustule or the silica is the cell wall. So they do have, this is an external view of that same diatom, by the way. This is what it looks like from, not the same individual, but the same species. So this is what it would look like from the outside. It has a totally different appearance, but it's the same size, and the structures that are present are... So I think it's in focus, but maybe needs some more
a little
contrast.
More. So it's this one.
Yeah. So they do have the cell wall, and then they have all these sort of processes that are on the inside that do different things. So help position the cell nucleus, and then they'll also have chloroplasts in the living organisms, and they also have cytoplasm that they can sort of squeeze out the holes. And so in a typical living diatom, you know, they would be covered with sort of an organic coating as well. And that disappears pretty quickly. It gets eaten by bacteria, basically, when they die. And the girdle bands would be wrapped around the actual cell. If we had a whole cell, these were collected from sediments, and so none of the diatoms were, or very few of them were probably living when the specimens were, or the samples were collected.
Especially the planktonic ones, they shouldn't be in the sediments if they're alive, right?
Yeah. Well, they might still have their some other cellular material. I feel like we could have focused this more.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a nice picture.
You can hit the brake button and stop it if you...
I don't like it.
You can stop it whenever you like. It's up to you.
Oops.
So my trick is always to zoom in really close on one of the pores. Yeah.
This one.
Something really distinct. The little pores are actually better than the big ones even.
So, like...
Yep, right in there, because those will be distinct. Yeah, double click on it, and then I would just work on getting it nice and clean. There they are. Bingo.
Very pretty, okay.
And then once you have those, you can zoom out. Yeah, and then they'll stay in focus. So.
There you go.
This is why I always zoom in really close. And then I tweak it, and then I zoom out, and then
it's pretty.
Then I take a picture. Habitual. You can fool yourself into thinking something's in focus if you don't look at the little tiny details sometimes.
Yes.
So. We need to make some more of these 3D models from other diatoms.
Yes,
too.
please.
This took me, I think I spent 2 days on the SEM taking pictures for this. I needed to have 70...
Like from different angles?
Yep. I had 70 high-resolution images collected from, I did one from like perfectly vertical, then 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees, and I think I even took a few at 50 degrees. But you just need to get some of the material basically away from everything else.
Yes.
And not with no junk on it, right?
So you really need to clean your samples and everything.
Well, I mean, you can get some of these samples. If you look around enough, you'll find one that doesn't have anything on it. So, Commander Shafard says, what is the cost of an SEM?
A lot of
which
money.
is a question that I get regularly. A desktop SEM, like that you could have at home that doesn't take up an entire,
room.
Costs around, I think they start at around 60,000. And those ones are actually kind of nice. They probably wouldn't give you as nice pictures as the one that we have here, but they also are a little bit more like rugged. Like you could just put some wet samples in there, and
it would be fine.
They're okay. They would run okay like that, or just mud. Just stick in the mud and not even like process it. But the image quality is not as high, and the options aren't as high, and you can't use elemental analyses on those. And so to get to this class, which is the next one up, this instrument cost us 160,000, something like that. So the cost of a house, basically, in our neighborhood. And then the next level up above this one, like if you were to go to a field emission scanning electron microscope, is usually around 300, so almost double the cost of this, 300,000. And they go up to about $500,000 in cost.
Wow.
And then if you wanted to go up to the next thing, like an ultra fast scanning SEM, which are the like newest thing that came out maybe 5 years ago or something. Maybe they're even older than that. Those things usually cost like, I don't know, $750,000 or something. So, on a sort of scale from a house in my neighborhood to a house in Pacific Plankton's neighborhood in San Francisco. Pocket change. You'll take 2. So one of the nice things about you better win the lottery. Yeah, I mean, if you win the lottery, you could buy several. Uh, they're less than 1 million.
Daddy is
Um,
strong. Daddy is brave.
I mean,
Daddy will
unless
not.
you're not playing a super lottery or whatever, if you're just going with the regular lotto, I think you probably still could get one.
I lost it.
Yeah, it tries to keep it, but it usually is off a little bit. There it is.
Other, yes.
The other way that you could get one is spend 4 years getting a degree in geology and then 2 years getting a master's degree in geology and then work for the USGS for 4 years and then get a PhD for the next 6 years and then get a postdoc for 6 years and then write a grant.
And then you get it.
After you get your job at a university.
Is this one a Sororella?
It looks like it.
It has a different shape than other ones.
It's very small if it's a Sororella. It could be... I mean, it looks like it has a raphy around the outside edge, so I would say
It's not
maybe,
the shape I
but-
expected.
But it could also just be a brevistrata.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I need to look closely at it. The striae. Can you zoom in on those?
Yes. Nope.
I think it's just a brevistrata. I think it's an internal view of... if you focus on the junk, you'll have a little bit more texture.
No.
Yeah. Yes, I think those are sets of holes around there. I think that's actually brevistrata.
Okay. Oh, I'm going the wrong way.
I turned the sound down so that Laura couldn't hear the subscription noise. I also couldn't hear it. Because last time I thought she almost freaked out. Thank you for the subscription, Calebon. Continuing
What are people
subscription.
saying?
They were expecting you to jump from the subscription noise.
Ah.
It plays a sound.
Sorry about that.
It's Sylvia talking. She says, "Hey Mallory, salary." Unless that's if you start a new subscription. If it's an old one, I think it says something like "Daddy's strong," "Daddy is something." I don't remember what it is. I can make it play. Do you find it difficult to find funding in my field? Yes. It's very difficult to get funding. I think my success rate for proposals is something like 1 in 12. So, and those usually take a long time to write, and they have, maybe a third of a year to write a grant well. And then you submit it, and it's like, oh, I'm competing with like 500 other people who also spent, a third of a year writing their grants. So it's very challenging to get funding, and I think it's been even harder to get funding in the previous 4 years, because the science community has been underfunded, as usual. But I think that more so than usual. But it's very challenging, in my opinion, to get funding, to get grants. And since I'm at mostly teaching and a little bit of research institute, I have a really high teaching load as well. So I rely on a lot of other colleagues to help me sort of collaborate with them in order to get grants submitted. And I usually just write the diatom part, and then they write the rest of it, and then I kind of like come back and help them coordinate it a little bit. But it's pretty challenging. So, and if I took the summer off to write a grant, it probably means I wouldn't be able to get any other research done because I'm just working on that. So, but I have grants right now that we're working on with Dr. McGlue, I think 2 of them. And we have an existing grant that was funded that my wife, Carlin, has that's paying for one of my grad students right now. With Broxton Bird at IUPUI, or Ui Pui if you're from the area.
This one's Styrosyra? No, Pseudostyrosyra.
Yeah, it's Pseudostyrosyra brevistrata. Steal one, then prison time would be less than all those degrees. Yes, I agree. If you just stole one, the problem is getting it out the door.
Challenging.
And also,
going unnoticed, it's not
well,
going to be
even if
easy.
you could get it out the door, because it's right now it's in a desk format. You'd have to take the desk apart, and then moving it causes the machine to be sort of knocked out of alignment. So you probably would need to hire an engineer to come in, even if you stole it, and recalibrate it to get it to work correctly wherever you put it. And the engineer guy is going to charge you about $6,000 to come out and recalibrate your instrument. So even if you stole it, you probably would have to spend
You're probably
some money.
not saving any money.
Well, you're saving some money. You're saving,
the big chunk of it.
$150,000 or something. But and then I don't think that's. I think you can do better.
I think I'll just get a little bit closer.
Does it get sharper?
No.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not.
No,
What you
I'm
should
confused.
do is get yourself incarcerated at a prison that has a scanning electron microscope, and then you'd be all set.
That's not very nice.
I mean, if that was your day at prison every day, you'd have to come in and
I
do
guess
some
it would
scanning
be
electron
nice.
microscope work. I mean,
Not too bad.
steal it from the factory. They only make scanning electron microscopes in like Czechoslovakia, believe it or not. All of them are made in some little town in Czechoslovakia called Brno, or I think it's pronounced that way. And it's like every SEM facility is a test scan. All of them, they're all made in like one town, one city in Europe. So first move to Europe, and then you could steal it from the factory. Your Google search isn't finding a prison with an SEM. There's probably a reason for that. Put on a high visibility jacket. No one, that's true. No one does question you if you have a high visibility jacket on. In fact, I sometimes work in our national parks here in the U.S. and they give me 2 options. They're like, get in and out of the site by 5 in the morning. Like between 5 and 6 in the morning, if you could go in and do the field work then, or wear a bright orange jacket, and then you can do it whenever you like.
The second one sounds a little better.
To me, the second one sounds a lot better. They're like, you either need to be completely invisible or you need to be ultra visible. And if you're ultra visible, you also need to stop and talk to every person who has a question and give them detailed explanation of what you're doing, because otherwise they report everything they see to the rangers, which is great. Because it means if somebody was doing something they shouldn't be doing, the rangers would then be
Would know.
notified. But also, if they got 300 reports of some idiot out on the water, drilling for oil in one of the lakes, for example, because that's what they often think I'm doing. Um, you know, that's not good either. So they prefer that you have somebody who's like a designated talk to grandma kind of person, and that's usually my job. So I usually send the students forward carrying all the heavy stuff because I'm old, and you know, and then I just manage talking to grandmas. They love me, so I can
Then
just
you're
sit and
good.
talk with them for hours. I'll be like, I'll catch up with you guys. I'm not carrying anything anyway. So, uh, oh, Hotel Tatango says they've got a Czech friend from near Brno. Great. You can just have the Czech friend help you break into the SEM factory and steal all the parts, and then put it together in your house with them.
This one's epithemia
That one is
or
amphora.
amphora?
Yeah, it's amphora. It's very small. Too small for any epithemia.
Okay.
The plan's coming together. Well, let me know how your plan works out, and please do not tell the authorities that I gave you the idea. I just gave you facts, and maybe talk to you about the best approach. My plan was to have you get an education, get a job somewhere, and then write a grant. The standard approach. Commander Shafard has used their micro-authority command. That's for things on the SEM, Shafard. You can tell me what to put on the SEM next, but you can't tell me what to look at next. But if you want to tell me something that you'd like to see on the SEM, I will try to arrange it for next Monday, which is the next time we'll likely be on the SEM. If you want me to try to find, we have insects we could look at, or, wow, that's a cool diatom you found.
It had an interesting shape.
Yeah, it's an interesting diatom.
Diatoma? Or which one is it?
It's not diatoma. It's got a raphe.
Ah.
Can you zoom in on that?
On the raphe?
Yeah. I'm confused by it. Because of the weird angle that it's at, in part.
Yeah. It's leaning a little bit.
It's leaning a lot. I think it's just a navicula.
Okay.
Can you zoom out? That's
The other way, yes.
You're trying to trick me. I think it's just a navicula. But they don't look like they're in rows perfectly from here. So that's the part that's confusing to me. But I think it's just because it's at an angle.
I'm taking a picture anyway.
Yeah, you can take a picture. It's good. You'll think about it? Okay. There's all kinds of little things that we could put on there. Cosmic Voyager says, greetings, beings of Earth. Greetings, Cosmic Voyager X. Number 10. We are looking at diatoms that are also from planet Earth. We haven't looked at any space diatoms yet. Thank you for the follow. I love how my bot just says things now. That was a good thing, good idea turning that on. It's I've been programming my bot to do all kinds of cool things recently.
How?
Like this. Let's see, burbs. On my stream earlier, we were looking at birds. 23 different species.
Oh, so it like answers?
I can track it. I just tell it like this. I say burb, and then it adds one.
Oh, wow.
Now it's going to say 24.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so I have another command that's like reset burb.
Now it's going back to 0 or?
There you go. Now we're back to 0.
Oh, wow.
These aren't burbs.
No.
Pacific wanted me to do one for diatoms, and I was like, I can't keep up with all the diatoms that we see. There's way too many. I guess we could do diatoms we took pictures of.
That could be.
See, they look like they're in striae now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their striae are lineolate, so I think it's a navicula.
Navicula. It's very interesting
The angle's
stray
very
because
confusing.
it's like very organized. I don't know.
The angles are very confusing.
Maybe we'll find another one.
I also have a water bear tracker. Let's see, that one was Newt. Last night, 4 water bears I saw.
You really saw 4 water bears?
We saw 2, but I already had 2.
On samples from your koi pond or from where?
From sticks in my yard.
Oh my god.
My daughter, Sylvia, and her friend Aspen went out and they ran around the yard and found sticks with lichen on it. And then they actually scraped the lichen into a little bowl for me.
Oh.
And it was sitting on my desk. And I wasn't sure whether I was allowed to put it on the microscope without them being there or not.
Uh-huh.
So I asked her, and she's like, "Oh no, that's for you, so you can stream it." So last night I did a
So
little.
nice of her.
I did a little water bear hunting stream.
Oh my god, I love them. They're so cute.
It looks good on my microscope, let me tell you. So the videos are available if you want to watch it later.
I think so.
if you're into the water bears, or we could catch one out in the on campus and bring it in and look at it at the microscope in the lab if you'd like.
Oh, yes.
It's not difficult.
Because if we put them here, they wouldn't have to die, right?
In the SEM, they would have to die. Yeah, they're not going to make it through being gold-plated, it turns
Yeah.
out. Oh, Commander Shavard said they love how your image turned out.
Thank you.
I think because it had a very interesting sort of perspective and depth,
Yes.
given that it wasn't flat. Mm-hmm. I know this diatom. Do you want me to let you guess?
I don't think I know which one it is. Okay.
Okay.
It doesn't have a raphy, right?
This valve does not.
So it's monoraphy. Aha.
That is Platessa zeigleri.
Aha.
That was the genus and the species.
Right. I don't think I knew this one.
I know this one.
I've seen the name a lot on the data, but not.
Mhm.
I don't think I had looked for how it looked
It
like.
should be in the counts.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Platessa and Planetarium as well.
Cosmic Voyager says, speaking of water bears, did you see the giant water bears on Star Trek Discovery that live in space?
Oh my god, no.
On Star Trek Discovery. Sorry, I haven't watched Star Trek Discovery yet. I don't really watch a lot of TV. I did watch the Picard. It had like a special, just Picard thing that started
Mhm.
I think it was last year sometime. I did watch that. But I haven't seen Discovery. I don't think I've seen any of the Discovery ones. And then...
I don't have a TV, so I don't know what
You don't
to
have a
tell
TV?
you. No.
That's probably why you work so hard. Well, you watch stuff on your computer.
I have Netflix.
Netflix is good enough. It's like a TV. Mostly, I used to only watch TV while I was working out. But this past semester was so busy I had no time to work out. And last night I started working out again, so I started watching TV.
When I had my TV in Colombia, I would just watch either cooking shows
Mm-hmm.
or just background noise, like not really watching
like
anything.
bird noises. Do you like to cook? Or you just like to
Yes.
watch other people cook?
Both.
Excellent. Uh, Uncerkind says, greets from Germany. My second watch here, as I was with the raid Professor Melko. Oh, you only saw a little piece of it then, yeah. Do we only see here past history and non-living fossil material? So on the SEM, we only look at non-living or fossil material, but I also look at stuff in the light microscope that's living and also fossil. And I do stream from the light microscope usually in the evenings. And I also have a stereo microscope. So if you came over with Spider ID, I have the same microscope Spider ID uses for his spider identifications in my Diatom lab. I just don't use it very frequently because most of the things I look at are smaller than that. But we use it for charcoal analysis and things like that. So I have the same microscope that he uses. And I could look at insects or whatever that are living in that microscope very easily. I just don't, because I mostly look at diatoms. So, but when we put other things on the scanning electron microscope, like pollen, and we put dead insects that I find occasionally. Zeiglery, I think. Hey, it's Pacific Plankton. I saw tardigrades on another stream. They're pretty cool. You also found a stentor. Yeah, I'm constantly looking for stentor. It's like one of the white whale things that I have not been able to find. And I think part of the problem is I don't look in the right kind of environments. I need to look in like ponds that are covered with duckweed. And I just can't find anything like that because I usually just go to the park, and the park keeps their ponds pretty clean. That is a chrysophyte, of course.
Yes.
Christmas tree ornament.
I didn't mean that.
That is the aperture. And Pacific Plankton is here. Hello, Pacific. It feels
Hi,
like
Pacific
forever
Plankton.
since we talked. She was at the bird streams.
Very long time.
There's a network of mycelium in subspace that connects all life in the galaxy. Oh, cool. Like a giant super mushroom. Pacific says, hi, Laura. And then she said she just got out of a meeting. Yeah, the biggest life form on Earth is a
Fungus.
humongous fungus,
Yeah.
right? That's somewhere, Washington, Oregon, somewhere around there. Interconnected mushrooms, non-space mushrooms. Have I ever looked at a jumping spider or a centipede before? I'm positive we've had centipedes on here, but I would happily sacrifice a centipede to stick it in the SEM. If that's what you want to look at, I can find one. I don't know if we have any in our house, but my daughter finds them under rocks all the time, so maybe. They're a little bit harder to find dead.
Yes.
You know.
You can give her a summer job to collect
That's true.
insects
I
or
could
something.
put her on bug patrol.
Yes.
She probably would appreciate it. When she was a little bit smaller, we would go out all the time bug hunting, and like I would bring my macro lens and I would try to take pictures of the bugs, and then she would collect the bugs. Except for she would often start collecting the bug before I could get the picture of it. So now that she's a little older, every time I ask her, "Do you want to go bug hunting?" she's like, "No, I just want to play on my iPad. Leave me alone."
Oh.
So, but we have started doing geocaching, and she seems to like that, but only when we find it. So if we go out and it's not successful, that makes her mad, and then she wants to go home. So she doesn't have a lot of patience for also walking around in the woods. So if we're out looking for it in the woods somewhere, that's not as fun as if it's someplace out in the open, I guess.
Really, I love the woods.
I know, that's how I feel about the woods too. I'm like, can we just go back into the woods and look around for a while, and if we don't find it, at least we're in the woods.
Win-win.
Yeah. Okay. Centipede it is, Shafar. We'll see if I can find one. I also have these, yeah, it's live scanning electron microscope hexaflexagon 2. And you can tell that it's live because Laura's focusing it. And she's in the picture also struggling and answering me when I tell her to do things.
Right, so fight.
And right now she's taking a picture, and we'll switch it to a faster speed. There you go. And zoom in and out. So we're looking at some samples from June Lake, California. And Laura's a master's student in my lab. And I don't know how we could prove it to you. We'll put a newspaper clipping on one of the diatoms and then zoom in on it, and you can check to see that it's today's date. Or
Good news, everyone.
we'll have you pick something to look at, and then we can just zoom over to that thing. You know, point at something. Tell me, oh, the round one.
This one?
That is the round one. Yeah, there we go. See?
It has a baby amphora on top of it, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's the Stephanodiscus that I named. That is Stephanodiscus caruscus, I believe. I put that name on it. What's the status of the samples from Colombia that you were planning on getting that we could put into the SEM? Are we still doing that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know if I have someone there.
Who will ship them to you?
Yeah,
Your parents?
my parents, but they would have to go into the university. And I believe everything's closed. Like,
Oh, it's still closed
there's
from COVID?
yes, and we also have like
Something going on in Colombia right now, right?
yes. So I don't
Riots
know.
or something?
Yes, I don't know if things are like working. I can't write to the professor that's in charge of that lab and see if she's willing to.
What is going on in Colombia right now?
People are angry at the government, and so there's like something similar that happened here like 2 years ago.
People were angry with our government 2 years ago?
No, you had the Black Lives Matter thingy.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's similar kind of protest. Like it's a little bit out of control. So,
Oh, okay.
but it's because people are angry at the government.
Got it.
Yes.
Thank you. I got hooked on your with your raid for 2 hours at the other channel. Oh. Then Spider ID. So you were in my raid, and then you went to Spider ID's channel for 2 hours, and then I came back on, and you're back with me. That's a nice day you got going on.
Interesting one.
Yeah. You got birds, spiders, diatoms.
Diatoms. This
And,
one's casting a shadow, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I work on Mondays. Yeah, that's true. You could always catch the VOD. Would it kill your finger if you scanned it? Well, probably, because everything works inside of a vacuum, and you'd have to chop your finger off to close the door to get the vacuum.
And to gold coat it as
and
well.
we'd have
no?
to probably gold coat your finger because it's organic. And I don't think they could put it back on afterwards. I mean, I'm not positive, but I don't think that you could put it into the vacuum and then put it back on. So probably
This was a Lindavia?
that's
Or a
Stephanodiscus.
Stephanodiscus? Where are the spines? Oh,
It's
here.
an inside view.
Yes.
Yeah, those are the spines
These
on the
ones,
outside.
yes.
Yep. And that's caruscus. See?
Yeah, yeah.
No processes in the center part. No central processes at all. That's a clue.
Yes.
Yeah, you could be like the James Bond villain, Goldfinger. I just have one finger that's gold. I'm not sure they can put it back on and make it work. So
I do have someone that can bring stuff.
Bring
because
stuff over.
Marco's coming.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And he has access to the university. So, maybe.
Up to you. They're your samples.
But I would need the sediment samples, right?
What's the other option? Slides?
Yes.
Yeah, I
But
can't
the
use the
slides are
slides.
mounted already.
Well, you need not the sediment samples, but the
Processed. Yeah, I don't know that he is willing to process samples.
Oh, didn't you process them to make the slides?
I did, but I don't know if they exist.
What happened after you made them?
I mean, I put them away somewhere, but the lab gets cleaned every once in a while, so I don't know.
What if you skipped the vacuum part? I don't
Oh,
think
you
can.
can't.
The problem is that the scanning electron microscope works by beaming electrons down onto the specimen. In this case, would be your finger. And if you didn't have the vacuum, what would happen is the electrons would be scattered by the air that it's passing through. So the whole point of putting it in a vacuum is to keep the electrons from scattering. And if we left it open somehow and somehow managed to turn on the beam, which in my instrument you can't even turn it on until the vacuum reaches a certain pressure or absence of pressure, then what would happen is you'd have a non-image. It would just show up as a blur, and not a very interesting blur, because the electron beam is effectively like a light beam. And if you scatter a light beam, you can't see anything, right? So it just comes through as a diffuse cloud, and you definitely wouldn't be able to get any detail. So my recommendation is that you borrow somebody else's finger.
Oh my god. Or don't put
That's
any
not
fingers
living.
at all.
That's not living. A non-living person's finger. Or somebody who wouldn't miss their finger, you know? I guess they don't have to be dead. And then you could look at that in the SEM. Not my SEM, please.
No.
Because it sounds like it's going to be a crime. But, I mean, if you're really attached to your fingers and you want to keep them that way, probably don't want to put them in the SEM. You had it.
Yes.
That's about as good as you're going to get, I think, right there where you can see the spine, spatulate spine sort of shape.
Oops, wrong way.
You'll ask your friend? I mean, does your friend also have an SEM? Make it clear to your friend also that they're not going to get their finger back.
That's
not
important
in a working,
information.
In a working order. A fingernail. You might be able to take off your fingernail, but I think that also would be very painful. Clippings of your fingernail, I feel like, would be easy to do and painless, but maybe not very interesting. I don't know. Maybe if you have really intricate fingernails, like some of mine have ridges on them.
Mine are super 3D, like, I don't know.
Ridges on them?
Yes.
Yeah. I got some sort of angular ridges.
It's a family thing. My mom also has them that way, and
Yeah.
they break a lot because of that. So.
My stream title still says burp stuff. It does? Not on my screen. Not for me. Baby teeth, yeah. Title is burbless for you. Yeah. It doesn't say anything about burbs for me. Maybe refresh, Devil and Mrs. J. If you went to Spider ID and then you came back, maybe it didn't update. It is weird. For mine, I'm actually looking at my screen, which is not the one that we're streaming from, so it doesn't say anything about birds. Nail clippings of people, dogs, cats, and birds. I don't know if I could get a bird toenail clipping. Maybe somebody sent me a chicken foot or something.
Oh my god, no.
No?
Nope.
You don't want to look at a chicken foot?
Nope.
Why not?
I don't know.
Okay. A pet store. Yeah, that might work, actually. Could try a pet store. Not for the whole foot.
Maybe just
Just the
nail
toenail
clipping.
clippings.
But you have cats, we could take a whisker. They fall off sometimes.
Yeah, we could take my cat's whisker. We actually looked at cat hair. We did one stream in the fall where it was like human hair, cat hair, dog hair. I don't know what else we looked at. Like we were looking at we were looking for the eyebrow mites. You know, eyelash and eyebrow mites.
Oh, did you find them?
No.
Oh my god. Thank God.
I pulled out a bunch of my eyelashes and I never found any. And I looked at them in the light microscope too, and
That's
I
a
never found
good
any.
thing.
I mean,
No?
I don't care. They're not hurting anything.
But I don't know if you know they're there. It's weird.
Well, if I don't know they're there, it doesn't matter. You're bothered by things living in your eyelashes?
A little bit.
You want me to check yours?
No. I'd rather live thinking they're not there. Is this one construence?
I don't know what that is actually. I was gonna say just Brevistriata, but I don't know.
So a Starosyria kind of
I
thing?
think so. Or Pseudostarsaria. I
Okay.
think. Let's see. What was the oldest item you knowingly were able to look at with this? I looked at some diatoms that were 10 million years old.
Wow.
Does that count? They're right over there, actually. We could look at them on a stream if you'd like.
So is this one? No, it's not. This one and this one?
That is Starosyra construens.
But these ones are not these ones.
I don't know. I need to look at it. I wasn't paying attention to see if it had the cruciform shape or not. It didn't look like it did to me. But I also wasn't paying attention because I was trying to handle the chat. Honestly, I was thinking a lot about the guy's finger going in the SEM.
Oh
while
no,
we were-
that's not a pleasant
Yeah.
thought. Okay, this one.
Let's see. All these peaceful diatoms are dead because of me. No. These are sedimentary diatoms that were collected from lake sediments on the bottom of the lake. So they were either dying already, or they were dead. And I didn't collect them. They were collected by Dr. Mike McLew and his students, and then about a year after they were collected, they were sent to me, so they were long dead by the time I got them. So just for clarity, I didn't harm any of these diatoms. But I regularly have harmed diatoms in the process of putting things in a light microscope or putting things in the SEM. And I don't feel bad about it because they're clones. Diatoms are almost all clones, except for the very big ones, which are the babies. And I don't know that I've ever seen one of those alive, actually.
Of the baby ones?
I don't know that I've ever seen like a living baby diatom, or an oxosport for that matter, alive. But I still wouldn't feel very bad about them because they make a lot.
They reproduce easily.
They
so it's
reproduce
not that
very
bad.
quickly, and it's just like sort of like weeds.
They're algae. They don't
know.
feel anything, right?
Yeah, they probably don't have any feelings. They're single celled, and they are the reproductive type R strategy, which means they just make a lot of themselves very quickly. And diatoms can replicate under ideal circumstances. Some of them have been shown to replicate 8 times in one day.
Wow.
And that's just the first one, right? So it replicated, each of its pairs replicated, each of its pairs replicated. So it did 8, then 7 for each of the subsequent ones, and each of those replicated 6 times. And
okay.
each one of those replicated 5 times. So
That's a
imagine
lot
how
of
many
diatoms in one day,
diatoms
yes.
that you get in a whole day if all of them are doing this replication process, right? That's a lot. And they won't miss a few ones that were already dying probably in the bottom of the lake for me to look at in the scanning electron microscope or the light microscope for that matter. So, um, you have an antique teacup full of kitty whiskers. It sounds like Devil and Mrs. J. You already also have my address, so if you need to send me kitty whiskers, I guess you could. We looked at eyelashes, and we made fun of Mallory's boopy eyelash. Yeah, my eyelashes and also my hair came out super clean with like really long, the sheath that covers the hairs. They were, and they all looked really pretty, and Mallory's looked nasty.
Ah.
So if you're watching, Mallory, you still have nasty eyelashes and eyebrow hair. I'm sure of it. You need to get that fixed. You need to eat better. 10 million, Earth is how long? Earth is about 4.6 billion years old, so 10 million is kind of a small fraction of that. I could look at some older stuff. We probably have some fossils around the apartment that are probably 200 million years old, but I don't think we have anything that's probably older than, or maybe we do, but not much older than that. And probably they don't want me gold coating it, sticking it in the SEM.
No, not
rocks at that point. Probably have some old rocks that we could look at. I don't put rocks in the SEM very frequently, but we can. Who cloned them? They clone themselves. They're diatoms. That's how they divide. They just binary fission. There was one diatom and now there's two, like amoeba. The same way. Mitosis. Get a meteorite. Oh, we actually have put a meteorite in the SEM before. So I guess if that counts, it's probably really old. I have to ask Dr. Wolf. He actually brought it in with some of his students, and we slapped it on the SEM. That was like a year ago, so I don't remember the age of the meteorite though. But he works on doing these sort of 3D analyses of meteorites, and so he already had one that was, we had a cross section of it already, and it was sort of, if I remember correctly, it was sort of mounted in an epoxy sort of thing, I don't know why I coated it in gold. I guess because it was in the epoxy thing. Probably didn't need it. Meteorite's probably got enough metal in it that it's not going to charge up. But we did anyway, and then we gave it back to him when we were done because it's probably worth a lot of money. I don't know. If someone cloned you, you would mind not dying. It depends on how easily it was for me to be cloned. If I could make 136 of myself in an evening, I probably wouldn't mind if one of them died. I'd feel less concerned about it because then the next evening I could make another 136 of me, and at some point I'd sort of feel like there's probably enough of me out there that a few of them could end up dying and I wouldn't miss them. If there was only one clone of me, and it took a lot of work to get there, I feel like I probably would miss myself, my other self, a lot. Also, if you could clone me, even if there were two of me, I feel like I'd be super productive. So somebody should get on that. You're careful not to step on any diatoms. Well, they're dust-sized particles, and you can't break them by stepping on them because they're below the size of communition for the most part.
Is this one on its side?
Yep, that's a navicula. Yeah, on its side. We're looking at just the girdle.
I was a little bit confused.
Yeah. The baby diatoms are bigger than the adults. They are. Diatoms have a reverse sexual cycle. After sex, they grow to their largest size, and then the next diatom that they make
little bit smaller.
is made from inside of the previous one, and so it has to be a little bit smaller. Well, half of it is smaller, and half of it's the same size. I can dig up that graphic if you want. Or you can just Google like diatom sex cycle, and you'll see they get really small. They get smaller and smaller the more times they replicate. One stays the same size, one gets smaller, and they keep doing that until they reach some sort of a size threshold where they're too small and then there's some sort of an environmental cue, and basically then they switch to sexual reproduction and they go back to the biggest size. So it's like this sort of repeating cycle where, like a broken wheel, except for it's mostly in a functioning wheel, and then it breaks basically when they switch to sex and go back to the large size. So, like Benjamin Button, yeah. Follicles, thank you, Hexaflexion. I was forgetting the name of that thing. If the clones have the same memories, how would you know that you are the original? Yeah, that's like if you transferred all of my memory into the clone. I'm not saying I would know which one to sacrifice, but I'm saying I probably wouldn't mind so much. You know?
Because it's the same.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, at some point you start to feel like you're going to get old and then die, and then you have to start thinking about how much of your DNA has been, you know, subdivided into the world. And in my case, I'm overrepresented already, because my daughter has half of my DNA, and then each of my sister's kids has 1/4 of my DNA, and she's got 4 kids, so that's one of me, and then I've got another sister with a kid, so it's 1 1/4 and then a half. So currently my DNA is out there, if you don't include me, 1 3/4 times in the world right now, and then there's me, so 2 3/4 times, right? Perfect.
my DNA is just here once.
You just have 1.
Yes.
You don't have any sisters or brothers with
No.
kids.
I don't have any sisters or brothers.
Oh boy. You're in a precarious position. You should fix that. Something could happen, and then your DNA would
No
be
more
gone.
DNA.
You need to fix that.
Yes.
It's extremely precarious.
Risky.
It's very risky. Oh, I didn't add in my sisters and brothers. No, my sisters. So I have 2 sisters, and each of them would have half, right?
Mhm.
So actually, it's 3 3/4 of me. No, would they have half? I think they have half. Anyway. Well, we can do the math later. What if one of them was an evil clone? That's a good point. What if one of them was an evil clone? We could definitely get rid of the evil one. But I think if maybe the evil one would probably get rid of one of the non-evil
Yes,
ones.
he would trick us.
Maybe I'm the evil one.
How do we know?
It's a good question. How do I know which one is the evil one?
We had this one before, but
Constricta. No.
Pseudo?
Robusta.
Ah, yes.
Pseudostar style robusta.
Yes, yes.
Hello, breaded shrimp. How are you doing out there? We're trying to figure out how much of my DNA exists in the world.
Very important question.
There's a lot of it right now. Way more than 100%. So I feel safe. You know, if something were to happen to me tomorrow, it would be unfortunate, but my DNA would still be
You're
around.
good?
I'm okay. I'm doing all right, DNA-wise. Diatoms sex cycle is your favorite category on FUB. Okay, good. Then you're part someone else too. It's fine. You can recombine my DNA, and maybe you'll make it better. That's the whole thing about DNA. Maybe you'll hit on a winner next time. What did you find right there that you skipped over?
This one?
No, the other one that has the dumbbell ends. Is that a pinularia? Or is it tabellaria?
This one or this
That
one?
one right there.
I'm thinking it's tabellaria because it's the one we usually get.
Does it have no raphy?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tabellaria. Okay. There's a weird looking pinularia that I found that
On these ones?
looks like that. Not in the sample.
Ah. I wanted this one, but it's too covered in stuff, so.
Digital Seahorse says it's just them here as well. Yeah. Better save your hair clippings. Better save the follicle part. because the hair clippings on the outside part don't have anything good in them. Oh, your dad is the oldest of 12. Jeez. You've got, you're safe. You're good to go, Kalathon. Not that I want you to go, but you're good to go. Who pays for the gold when the items are prepped? I do, frankly. But the money that we get from Twitch streaming also pays for some of the supplies that we use for undergraduate research and graduate research. So I don't use, well, the money that comes to me for the stream, I reinvest in the lab. So we haven't bought any gold targets for the sputter coater yet using the money from Twitch. We've used them to buy a truckload of stubs.
Stubs, yeah.
And carbon tape. And that's primarily what I've used it for at this point. So we could make as many samples as we want, which is basically the primary cost of using the SEM. So I think I've made something like $650 from Twitch streaming, and I think I spent something like $600 on supplies for the lab. So there's about $50 floating out there that I could still use on something else. But the gold plating targets cost about $800, and right now I have 2 gold ones and a silver one that are completely unused. So I don't
You're
need,
good for
I
a
don't
while.
need to buy any, and they usually last about a year at the rate that we gold plate things. But they were bought, the ones that we have were bought with the initial grant money for the SEM that I wrote the grant for. So, and then we had an additional one that was purchased by Jim Spear, who used a bunch of the original gold plating targeting, and he used his own grant to pay for that. But he was basically just replacing the one that he'd used most of the gold for. So, but to be honest, it comes down to me writing grants or me including the cost of things that we do in grants. So I have to get grants funded basically to cover some of the costs for the SEM. But not for this part. For the part for the SEM that we've done for Twitch streaming, my subscribers have basically paid for basically everything that we've used on stream. Plus, we've managed to use it to pay for some graduate and undergraduate research work as well. So. You want to break Genghis Khan's record of spreading your DNA? Well, that's I mean, for a space alien, that's a good plan. Please use the money to make the lab look like it's on the Enterprise. I suppose I could. I need more money if that's the case. So I'm going to need some more subscribers. I don't know how much it would cost to redo the inside of my lab to make it look like Star Trek Enterprise, but
I'm thinking it would be a fair amount.
it's going to be more than the $50 I have left from my
Yes.
original amount that I've brought in. So I feel like you're going to have to go on a funding campaign and convince a bunch of people to skip the subs and just donate, and then we could do it. I'd be happy to do it. I don't mind, but that's not coming out of my pocket, so... We could add all kinds of things if we had a lot of subscribers or donators. I don't think I've actually ever had anybody donate money. Just subscribers. And the cheering, I guess. People have cheered. Cheered for money cheers. You don't support trekkers. Well, the good news is probably any money you commit is not going to go to making the inside of my lab look like the Star Trek Enterprise anytime soon. So... we could maybe get one of those, like, Klingon skull caps that we could put on Laura. She could look like a Klingon. It will look closer to Star Trek if we did that. Me Fox says hi. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, Hexaflexagon votes for something Star Wars themed. So there's going to be like a Star Trek, Star Wars conflict going on with respect to what sort of theme we should have.
I haven't seen any of those, so I can't help.
You haven't seen Star Wars?
No,
None of them?
none of
And
them.
none of the Star Treks? And is it because you don't like movies or TV?
I don't know. I
Or you
haven't.
don't like science fiction? Or is it because you're from Colombia?
No, it's a big thing there. I just.
Oh, it is?
I haven't. I don't know.
What about Stargate?
No, I don't think space thing movies. I don't know.
They don't appeal to you?
No,
Babylon 5? None of it?
nope.
Okay.
The Space Odyssey one. Mm-mm.
Nothing.
Nothing.
What kind of movies do you like?
I like thrillers.
Thrillers? Something
Yes.
scary?
Well, not scary
Oh,
because
action packed.
like scary. No,
What do you
like-
mean by thriller?
not like. I don't know the name of these movies, but not like horror or
Right, yeah, not terrifying.
yeah.
Yeah.
But when there's suspense and things
Something
like that, like
suspenseful.
Shutter Island or something
oh, okay,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I saw that movie.
It's a good one. Fight Club, movies like
About a
those ones
quarter
are
of the way
good.
through Shutter Island, Carlin was watching it. I was not paying close attention. I predicted how it was going to end. And then she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And that's what happened.
Uh-huh.
So, give her some Asimov books. Do you like to read?
Yes, I love to.
What about science fiction reading? Also not what you read.
No, I don't know science fiction. I don't know.
Doesn't appeal.
But I haven't tried it either, so I don't know if I like it.
Okay. We can give you some Isaac Asimov. That will get you interested, probably.
Yeah.
Get you something good. The Foundation series would be a good start.
I've been just reading like natural history kind of things, like not fiction, like real, like, yeah.
Serious stuff, nonfiction.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so excited the semester's over. I could actually start reading again.
Yeah, I got a book from the library.
I have
I've
a book I
started
got
and
for
it's very
Christmas
nice.
that I read halfway through, and then the semester started, and it just went. I haven't been able to read anything.
Which one is it?
What's the name of that book?
Okay, that's nice.
It's about trees.
Ah,
I'm trying to think of the name of it off the top of my head. Raid the Library Boss. Galaxy Quest is a documentary. Well, I guess in a way. Overstory, yeah. Pacific. I knew Pacific would know what it was. I just couldn't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Yeah, I got halfway through Overstory. I got to like the middle of the book literally,
Mhm.
and then it was like the semester just got so busy I didn't even pick up a book again. Nothing.
I did manage to finish a book this semester.
Yeah. I had
But
a
it
choice.
took me a long time because I brought it from Colombia and then I just read through it.
Oh, something happened.
Oh no. Maybe I moved it?
No, I think it just it's charged up a little bit because it's in the shadow of something.
Oops. I don't know. What did I do?
No, that's just the picture. You can close it.
This
Oh
one's
no, that's
no.
not the picture. The one behind it is.
There. Let's see if it's better this time.
See if it makes it past the place it got distorted. Cosmic Voyager X says, Laura, don't you want to know about the future? Star Trek is a documentary of the future.
I promise I'll give it a try and then get back to you.
Okay. 90s internet flashbacks. Yes, it's not actually loading the picture though. It's drawing the picture. So people
But it
often-
is something weird here.
There's a little bit of a distortion around that one
But it's
spot.
because it's in a weird position, this diatom, right?
It's because
And there's junk around
something
it.
around it that's high, that's very large.
Probably this.
Yeah, and it's causing the electrons to get distorted when they pass across.
But it's better than last time.
It does. It didn't get like offset.
Yeah.
And now it's past that point, so you just have those weird bands going across it. I see people publish with these sort of little bands on their images occasionally, and I turn up my nose at their pictures. I'm like,
No.
not out of my lab. No,
This one's Carrasco's?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do about it usually. You can try zooming out a little bit or in a little bit, and sometimes that will get rid of where it's scanning
interference.
over. But there's almost nothing you can do about it. How does the beam make it back to the detector? So if you look inside the chamber, you'll see that, let me see if it's, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is a cone, that's where the beam comes out, and then this is the sample it's hitting right here, which is the stub. And then over here, this little half arc that you can see, not this one, but this one that's behind it, is a secondary detector. And what it has in there is a positively charged photoreceptor. And what happens is when electrons come out of this, because it has a positive charge, they're pulled towards this. And this thing functions like your eye. Effectively what it does is it captures electrons that come out of the sample. And when they hit that, they cause this sort of photoreceptor thing over there to brighten. And the more electrons that hit it, the brighter it gets. And so for each pixel that you see in the image that it's be able to record a piece of information from, what it's doing is it's telling it how bright or how dark is that bit when then the beam scans over it. And it's all happening extremely quickly. But if something's pointed directly towards the sensor, what happens is it would be bright, because most of the electrons would make it to the sensor and would change into what would register as bright spots. And if something's pointed away from it, effectively it would look like a dark spot or a shady spot. Or if there's a hole, for example, it would look like a dark spot. And so what it's doing then is it scans across the surface, and pixel by pixel it's saying how bright is that spot, how bright is that spot, how bright is that spot. And when Laura changes the speed, what she's doing is it's scanning across the area more quickly, and that's why it looks grainy. And when she slows the speed down, what it's doing is it has a higher density of information that's coming back, so it scans more slowly. And also we can change the pixel size, but we're not, and to change the resolution. But we've been running at 7 the whole time. She hasn't been switching back and forth between 10 and 7 because she's just happy with 7, which is fine. And so that's what's creating this sort of effect of topography. So it's making it look three-dimensional, and it looks like a photograph, but in fact it's just a series of single dots that it's sending information, and then from the secondary detector it comes right into the computer, and it stores each one of those pixels as the drawing, and so, or the photograph. And so it's not like it takes a picture and then it's slowly loading from the machine. Every dot that's being changed from grainy to not grainy right there is actually doing that by it's scanning pixel by pixel and sending each pixel to us, right, through the secondary detector.
What's this one?
Does Laura have a Twitch stream? She's on my Twitch stream.
Yeah,
so
I don't have a personal one.
she doesn't even have a Twitch account yet. She watches my bird streams through Addie's account, through one of our other grad students. But she's talking about it just for the bird streams.
Yes.
So, yes, that's Cerarella.
This one?
Yeah, that's
It's
a
like on its side?
Yeah, it's on its side.
Ah, very nice.
You're looking right down on the Raytheon, I think.
Okay. And
Close to
Lindavia?
it. Yeah, that's a Lindavia.
And Epithemia?
Epithemia.
Yeah, I don't think I'm taking a picture, but that's very nice.
how far is the secondary detector? Like inside the chamber, they're only about, the whole chamber size is something like, I want to say it's probably something like 10 centimeters, 15 centimeters to the sensor from the actual sample, something like that. So the beam is scattered all over the chamber, but only some of the electrons make it to the detector. Not exactly, Hexa. When Laura gets to take another picture, I will put up a schematic that shows exactly how it works for you, if you'd like. But what happens is the beam is very focused into one little place, and the electrons actually penetrate whatever it is that's there. So in this case, diatoms and a little bit of the aluminum stub or whatever else that's in between the beam and the end of its ability to penetrate stuff. And it actually goes into the material completely, and then it knocks electrons out of the sample. So most of the beam, when it intersects with some sort of an electron inside of the sample, then it will jostle those things and knock them out. And when they come out of the sample, then those are sort of vacuumed up by the secondary detector. So the beam itself isn't really scattered. If it was scattered, you wouldn't be able to see anything. The beam comes very focused onto a single point. And if I flip over, I think that's me. This one. So you can see it comes out the top here, and I don't have a mouse cursor, so you can't see where I'm pointing, but it comes out the top where there's electron gun marked, and then the beam comes through focused by magnets because it's electrons, and then it hits the ant in this diagram, and you can see the secondary detector collects stuff that comes off of the ant. And let's see. This is a picture showing the actual electron beam coming in, and it creates this sort of vase shape, and the secondary electrons are this group, the ones that are sort of from intermediate depths that come out and then are captured, and they provide topographical information from the sites where they are. Our SEM does not have an ability to capture Auger electrons, but it does capture the backscattered electrons. And I don't have the backscatter detector in right now, but if you look on the sensor that's inside the chamber, it's this thing over here, right there. That's the secondary detector, and it slides in and out. And because it's only about 5 millimeters thick, and there's 5 millimeters between our sample and the cone, it doesn't fit in there right now. There has to be, the sample stage has to be at about 10 millimeters away before it's safe to put this backscatter detector in. So I don't use it unless I'm at least 10 millimeters away from the sample. So we're closer than the backscatter detector would allow us to be wedged in there. So we don't have a backscatter detector in right now. We're just capturing secondary electrons. And the reason that we don't is because the backscatter detector mostly tells you about density of material. And that's not super helpful for diatoms. We don't care how dense the silica is. It's the same composition of silica basically throughout the entire skeleton. So it's just going to look like more or less a slightly different picture of the same thing. But if I had a bunch of metals or things of different composition in there, the backscatter detector would provide us with an image of differences in density. So if I had like aluminum and nickel on the stub next to each other, you'd see them, even if they were the same color in your eye, they would appear as two different colors or two different shades in the scanning electron microscope if we had the backscatter detector in. Is there any software to recreate colors in real time? No.
It doesn't have any colors.
There's no color because there's no light. and you could probably put some sort of fake color over top of it, but that's what I do in the pictures where you see the colorified or false colored images. Those are done in, I take the picture and then I put it into Adobe Lightroom or Photoshop or some other tool, and I tweak the colors and add the colors. I'm sure you could probably get something that would put fake colors over the top, but it would be, functionally, it wouldn't look like color. It would just give you like, like sepia or something where it's added one color. Because to add multiple colors would actually require you to make some sort of decisions about what you want the contrast to represent. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do that, but I don't know what the value of it would be. Mostly what we're looking at is stuff for scientific purposes, and then when I take the pictures and they're artistic, then I tweak them to make them even look more artsy. But that's like my skills with Photoshop and Lightroom that's doing that. It has nothing to do with like what we need color for. So if you're just not a fan of black and white, you're probably just not a fan of live SEM. I feel like there's a lot of texture in the images that we look at. Compensates for the lack of color, but the colored stuff is just completely artificial. So it's it's there for fun, basically, on my Instagram images and whatnot. Hey, look, it's District 10 mushrooms. Hello. What are the specs for the PC that's drawing the photo? I don't know. It's the computer that came with the SEM. I mean, it's got a really decent graphic card, but it's not like a top-end gaming computer or anything. It's a lab computer, so it's only
Which
used...
one's this one?
That's an Amphora.
Amphora.
It's only used for the SEM. That's its only use. It streams, and it's streaming, through Twitch. But we don't use it for anything else. Like, literally, there's a browser on it, and then there's the SEM software, and that's it. And OBS, so I can stream. But we don't use it for anything else. So it doesn't really need to have, like, gaming specs. I could look them up if you're interested, I suppose, but I don't even know what they are. It's literally, there's a computer that came attached to the instrument when I bought it. So, and it works fine for what we use it for. So I don't really need. I think he took it out of focus.
Yeah. Oops. Oh no, that's not it.
That's a lot of info. Yeah, there's a lot of how it works sort of things that go on. It's challenging. So no one knows how they actually look. Well, I mean, this is one interpretation of how they actually look. But diatoms are made out of silica, and to go in the SEM, they're coated with gold. So imagine everything you're seeing, but like with a gold coating on it. That's what they look like. They look exactly like this with a gold sheen to them, because it's not very thick. But they're made out of silica, so normally they would be like glass, and they would look a little bit like tinted glass, basically, if you were to see them in a non-SEM form. And in fact, if I put them on the other microscope, the stereo microscope, and we looked at some of the bigger ones, that's the way they would look. They would look exactly like tinted glass. So we do know how they look. We just don't care how they look. It's not useful for us to know like what the color is. How do we send Laura tips? You mean like money tips for Laura? I don't know. Oh, they want to send you tips personally, but like not to me. Send them to me, and then I'll give them to Laura. You can tip me, and then I will give the money to Laura. Just tell me how much it is, and designate it for Laura, and I'll just give it to her. I don't care. I'm trustworthy. I'm her advisor, so Uh, could you use color to identify aberrations, textures you can't see, like a rash? Probably not. Not for diatoms. They're made out of silica, so they don't have rashes. You probably could see some structural differences, but that color might produce, but it would just be light interfering with the silica, and we probably could see the damage or pitting on the silica itself from the texture. So my guess is no.
You know, when I was working on my samples, I would sometimes get some blue diatoms.
That's just
Why?
That is
I was very confused because I didn't use any color or anything, and then some of them were blue, and I was like,
the blue color comes from light being refracted as it moves through the skeleton. So sometimes specific plankton also ends up with blue colored diatoms when she looks at the live material when there's no chloroplast in them. And it's basically just like physically produced light based on the structure of the cell. So, and if you zoomed in from like 10x to 20x to 40x to 1000x, they probably would lose the color because of the difference in where you're getting the light from.
so that's it.
Yep, it's completely physical color.
I didn't, and I looked it up like
It's
on the
what's called-
internet, and I didn't really get an answer as to why they were blue.
It's called structural color sometimes.
Yeah, like the Beatles'
Yep.
iridescent
Yep.
colors.
Yep. It's not a pigment. It's just structural color. Yeah. Yeah, if you send it to me through the stream elements, and then I'll just dump it to whatever you want to give Laura. You want to buy her lunch, whatever. Let me know. How much does a color electron? They don't have them. There's no such thing as a color electron microscope.
Is this a Salaphora?
Boy, that's a tough question. Yes, probably.
Looks like it, but I'm not sure.
Probably. It's a really little Salaphora if it is.
We'll just do CF Salaphora.
Yeah, it's probably Salaphora. What do diatoms do? They're a type of algae. They live in the water, mostly in water or subaqueous environments, and they replicate and make oxygen. They're like, I don't know, like grass on the land is. So for what do? They're organisms that live in those conditions, and they're autotrophic, which means they photosynthesize. For the most part, they're autotrophic, and they photosynthesize, and they are eaten. That's their primary, like other
Ecological
autotrophs,
function.
Their primary ecological function. They also can
Oh.
affect things in the water. So, like if there's a lot of diatoms, for example, it could change the temperature of the water in a way by modifying how much light gets through. But they don't do things. The ones that live in shallow water can crawl around a little, very slowly. But you know, in terms of what do, they mostly, they're just an algae. They live, hopefully. Yeah, they don't make a color electron microscope because the color is a property of light, and electrons don't have light. Their wavelength is totally different than the range of light wavelengths. So light is 400 to 700 or 400 to 770 nanometers, and electrons have a wavelength that's much, much smaller than that. So it's way below what you would normally think of as light. Oh, if you zoom in really close on that, I bet it has really funky areolae.
This one?
Yeah, that's a Symbopleura.
Ah.
Many of the Symbopleura in June Lake have like their areolae look like alphabets, letters, or strange alien script.
I love those ones.
Many of them do. Some of them are really simple, so...
We'll have to see.
I don't have a donation link. Yeah, you'd have to use the Stream Elements to donate. Really scattering skeleton. Well, some of their skeletons will scatter light. Yep,
Ah, there
they are. They look like TIE fighters.
I love those.
Yeah.
So pretty.
Those are sort of X-shaped ones.
Yes.
And if you get closer towards the center, they might change
This
in a
way,
little bit.
but it's covered. I'll look somewhere else.
Yeah. A really interesting, intricate light is stealing our jobs. I guess so. It's like a diatom has such a perfect skeleton that it acts like a lens. Yes. And some people have actually looked at that. They tried to figure out if the light scattering that goes on was beneficial to the diatoms in some way, because they tend to align their chloroplasts in the valve in a very specific way often. And so the areolae, they thought, might have something to do with the way that the light is being scattered, sort of focusing it on the chloroplasts. I don't know how practical that or realistic that result is, but people have at least looked at it, and they built models to try to see how the diatom skeletons function for focusing or changing the light properties, either the color or the concentration of it. So, but it's a question mark, I think. I don't think it's resolved completely. Jeff says he's trustworthy, but up to what dollar amount? If it's $500,000, if you have $500,000 that you're going to donate to Laura, just tell everybody on stream it's $500,000, and then I will show them the $500,000 that you've donated to her, and then I will give her all of it. I don't care. That's her money then.
We would get some awesome research done with that amount of money.
I feel like Laura would use it appropriately, and I also would hate to steal it from her if that's what you wanted to give to her. So I'm pretty trustworthy with money, because money doesn't really matter that much to me. So I've got a job I like, and I can afford most of the things I like. And I mean, if you want to give money to Laura, that's your money to give to her. I don't know that they'll let you donate $500,000 on Stream Elements, but
you can try. Let us know.
yeah, I think Laura's willing to find out if that's what you want. I'm sure we'll make it happen. And I think the money from there goes directly into my PayPal account. So Laura just needs a PayPal account, and then I'll transfer it to her, and I'll send you the receipt. There'll probably be some bank transaction costs, but the rest of it she can have.
See these really pretty ones. This one look like a
Yeah,
small
little
man.
person. Tiny star-shaped person.
Yes.
Cosmic Voyager just tipped $6.90. See? Its Stream Elements tells exactly how much it is you tipped, so you can't lie about it. And I will give your $6.90 to Laura. She can have it for buying a sandwich for lunch tomorrow if she wants. Do diatoms absorb the non-blue spectrums? I don't know. Usually they focus their pigments in very specific ranges, and sometimes they're double peaked. And if you want to know more about that, I'm the wrong person to ask. The right person to ask is actually my PhD student, Hung, because this is like a focus of his dissertation. He wants to try to detect diatoms from remote sensing satellites, and he wants to be able to tell that he's looking at actual diatoms. I know people have done it, but I don't remember what the spectra range are, and he has that information, and that's definitely been published. So if you're looking for like the pigment range that diatoms reflect light or absorb light in, that's available information. It's just not It's like
Symbo.
Symbo
Pleura.
pleura, yeah. It's just one of those things where, like, I mostly study diatoms for paleoecological purposes, and so, like, I forget the biology stuff a lot when I read it. I get, like, bits and pieces of it stay in my brain, but much of my mind is used for taxonomy and paleoecology, and the biology part's usually just like a little sliver of it, because it's not where my interests are, but it is something people know. It did not show your message. Oh, you sent a message along with it? Make it 1 million. Why am I minutes behind reading chat? It's because I'm trying to answer previous questions and I haven't caught up with the questions where people are asking. So, some cryptocurrency to launder. Exactly. There's a ton of fees. Cosmic Voyager says, Laura, hold up your Dogecoin QR code. I don't think she uses Dogecoin.
No, I'm not sure what that is.
She doesn't know what that is, so I don't think she can get it transferred. So what do I need to study in order to play around with an SEM? Anything small will fit into the SEM. You mean like if you wanted to do it for graduate research? Diatoms are a good choice. Nanofossils, if you're into the marine realm, there's all kinds of like coccolithophores, they use SEMs for those. For organisms, I should say, that are small. But any microorganism, probably except for the ciliates, would be really... I think they actually do look at ciliates in the SEM, but you have to do all kinds of special silicification of them in order to get them to not turn into trash bags or sleeping bags or whatever. When you put them in the SEM, they just deflate because you suck all the air out. But any microorganism, pollen is also looked at in the SEM, charcoal. You could study things that aren't living organisms if you want to just study like microchips. People look at those in the SEM. People use it for looking at structural flaws in metals for engineering purposes. And lots of geologists use the scanning electron microscope for analyzing minerals. So like if you wanted to work in a gold mine, for example, we have a guy who came from a gold mine in Colorado and used our SEM for like a week or a weekend, I don't know, and gave us some, paid our highest rates to use the SEM for that time that he was here, so that he could analyze the metals in his sample. So that's an example of
I
how
had a
people
lab
use it.
mate, and I think she used it for looking at fossil leaves.
Probably you could use it for
She was
anything
counting.
Small. Oh, the stoma?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. She
The
was trying
stomata.
to calculate like paleo CO2
Mhm,
concentrations.
Using the stomatal density?
Yes.
Yep. Familiar with that approach? Anytime it has to do with paleo, I probably am familiar with the approach, especially paleoecology. Kitty whiskers, yes. You could put... They're going in the mail tomorrow. Okay, good. Let's see. Do you look at samples from Antarctica often? I've never looked at any samples from Antarctica, but I have colleagues who work in Antarctica, and diatomist friends that work in Antarctica as well. So I could. None of them have sent me samples, so I haven't looked at them. I've looked at material from Mount Everest. I've looked at material from South America, from
Africa.
Pantanal, and I work a lot in Africa. But I haven't looked at the Arctic or the Antarctic. None of those things.
I feel like there's a lot of people working on those
Yes.
topics.
Especially Antarctica. There's a lot of
Yes.
diatomists working there. Marine diatomists mostly, but there are some freshwater diatomists that are... that's sort of the focus of some of my colleagues.
I love this picture.
It's a good
There's
one.
so much going on.
Yeah, it's a busy one.
Yes.
And that's a Anumastus over there in the bottom. corner.
This one?
Yeah.
It's a little bit broken. Maybe we can get a better one.
Yeah, find us a nice one. What's with this trashy broken Anumastus?
I'll do better. Just give me a little bit.
Let's see. How well is the SEM for viewing living stuff? Generally bad. It kills everything because it's in a vacuum. So you can look at stuff that was live like earlier today.
But it would be dead by
it-
the time it's gold coated,
That's
right?
correct. It's going to be dead by the time we look at it. But you're not going to be able to see living stuff in it.
Because there's a vacuum in the splatter coater as well, right?
Everything's in a vacuum everywhere. So it generally kills all the things are usually dead by the time they get into the SEM. And if they weren't the SEM, the beam would probably kill them as well. So being bombarded by electrons turns out it's not good for things, especially at this high of a rate. I suppose we're all being bombarded with electrons all the time, but not so focused. If something moved during the scan, it's done. Actually, sometimes things can get, if they're not completely like coated, or if there's a big pile of stuff, sometimes the beam will actually cause things to move a little bit.
Oh.
If you put enough of the beam in one spot, it might cause particles to move. And I've had that happen before, where stuff will jump.
A little bit scary, no?
No, I'm just annoyed by it because I was probably looking at it and then it just jumped off the screen. But sometimes particles will
Do
break
that.
free and then they'll move, and then I get mad. Probably if I sputter coated it for a little longer, the gold would probably bind to itself, and then you wouldn't have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
But
Maybe it's like a weak gold covering.
show you some gold. I don't think it would be very interesting. It's just a little disc of gold, and it's gold foil. So as much as you might think,
It's not like a huge chunk
it's
of
not
gold.
like a chunk of gold. I mean, there's gold on all of the
Stubs.
The stubs. So like, here's a stub, and it's got some
Oops.
gold.
Okay.
It's got some gold on it. It's not super interesting. It's usually just a couple of, nanometers thick, angstroms thick in some cases. And the foil that we used, it cost $800 to buy the foil, but it's not $800 worth of gold. So no matter what.
Don't be mistaken.
That's right. We're not panning for gold or big nuggets of gold here in the lab. Maybe the diatoms are trying to communicate with us with the letters. It's possible. My expectation is that they are writing poetry in Chinese on their skeletons.
I don't know if I can find what it is that it looks like to me. They're seeing this? No.
They said they think they're trying to communicate with us. Symbols, yeah. Me Fox said, did you look at any meteorites? And I answered that question earlier today, actually. We did look at meteorites in the SEM before. If you wanted to make me look at more meteorites, you could stick around long enough to get micro authority, and then you could force me to go ask Steve Wolf if I can borrow his meteorite again, and we could stick it in there. It's not super interesting, it's just metallic, but it looks pretty cool in the backscatter detector, I guess.
So to me they look like these little dancing people from these paintings.
Yeah. stick
And
figures.
I love it, like these ones.
Yeah. That's good.
To me it's like, wow, it's the same.
We should make some diatom lithographs. Scrape them onto rocks, and then we scrape the little star shapes as their pores,
Uh-huh.
as people, stick figure people. Your picture's done cooking.
This one's pseudocyros.
Yes.
Pseudocyrosaura.
Pseudostarcera, and I think it's brevistrated. My drink has no drink in it.
My drink has no drink in it, like for a long time now.
Was yours coffee?
Yes.
What's our closing time?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm just checking. I have to figure out whether I should go get something else to drink or not.
We can do it at 3:30 if you want.
It doesn't matter. Literally, I don't have anything else to do today. So, I did get a message from Hung. He says he
Ooh.
could meet tomorrow or Friday.
Okay, what works
So-
for you?
Laura's been working on June Lake on a project that I counted the diatoms in these samples, not the actual ones in the SEM, but from these samples, and that is also Coruscus. And Laura's been working on analyzing them for at least one paper, maybe two, with my PhD student Hung. And so we've been sort of poking around at it. I'm making Laura do all the work, and then I'm going to take all the
I'm
credit.
trying.
But we need to have a meeting with my PhD student Hung because
With the GIS expert
we're,
because
yeah, we're into the complicated GIS stuff, and we need the GIS guy to take a look at it. So, but maybe you could explain a little bit what you're doing, or planning to do, or trying to do.
We're trying to see if the diatoms are distributed or they have certain preferences for certain environments within the lake. So we're trying to figure out how they are distributed in the different lake environments. So we're currently on the GIS part of mapping where they are, and then we're going to hopefully do some statistical analysis to sort of back it up, so we have all of this environmental information that hopefully will give us insights into if they have preferences, or yeah, I don't know if that's the correct word, but if it's not random, which
Yeah.
we think it's not, but
Looking at the environmental conditions to see if they have controls on which species occur, right?
And where.
Right, and where. So, PLN round, RND, says, is there a way to get depth information in 3D software? Hello? Oh, okay.
Do you think that schedule's going to work out?
Yeah.
As suggested?
Should be fine.
Okay, the evening to Sunday.
Yeah. And we usually run the SEM, the nitrogen all the way out. So,
Okay, bring it down to 0.
yeah, because it's,
Okay.
otherwise we're just wasting it.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, what else? You know anything about the building being locked in the weekend?
It might be. I don't know.
I'll check it out. I'll negotiate it.
Probably you could get a key.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I talked to Jan, I talked to my chair, something like that. And everything was like,
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. See you.
Yep.
I don't know what we were saying before.
We were talking about the statistical stuff. It's
yes.
fine. Oh, they were asking, is there a way to see 3D information?
Yes, there is. You can do.
Oh, no, you
nope,
don't want to do
no,
that.
no. One.
There you go. So in the scanning electron microscope.
Oh, I thought we were talking about GIS.
No, I think they want to know, like, could we make a 3D model from the pictures?
Yes.
And we did do that. In fact, the diatom that we're just looking at is this model right here. That's Stephanodiscus coruscus. But we didn't do it by getting 3D information from the depth. What we did was I used photogrammetry, which is basically, like, for people who don't know what that is, it's like how Google Earth produces or Google Maps produces a 3D image of something by taking satellite images from multiple angles and then turning that into a 3D image. And what I did for this particular model is I took about 70 different photos at different angles and rotated the diatom and looked at it from like 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees, and then I rotated about 20 degrees at a time, and then put all of those into a program called Agisoft, which is a photogrammetry tool that people use for all kinds of photogrammetry purposes. Do you know what this one is, by the way?
We've seen it before, and I remember that, like, the wide area here, but I'm trying to remember which one it is.
Okay. You want me to tell you or not?
First letter?
D.
So this one might be the diatoma one, but I don't know.
No, still has a raphe. Diatoma doesn't have a raphe.
Uh-huh.
Now you want me to tell you?
Oh.
Think about it some more.
A little bit. Just until the image is
You
done.
can think about it as long as you like. I'll tell you tomorrow if you want.
Because I know we've had it before, so.
So we make it, but we didn't use, it doesn't tell you the Z value or anything like that. If you want an instrument that will tell you the Z value, an atomic force microscope functions that way. It basically moves a little sensor close to the material, and then it vibrates the closer it gets, and then it builds a 3D model based on the vibrations that it's producing at the atomic level. That's the atomic force microscope. Those produce a 3D model. Or you could use a confocal microscope, which is one that doesn't require all these fancy things. It basically just does that sort of concept that you're talking about in what would be like a light microscope setting. And it will give you information sort of in the depth, and then it produces a 3D model from I don't have a confocal microscope, by the way, but there is one in the biology department, I think, upstairs. So I could potentially use it, but I've never used it before. And I have an SEM, so I don't really need a confocal microscope. Confocal is like kind of neat in that you can make 3D images sort of on the fly with it, or 3D models with it on the fly. But the resolution's not nearly as good as a scanning electron microscope would be. It might be as good as I could get if I was trying to make a 3D model from a scanning electron microscope, but like for seeing details, it's not going to produce the same kind of quality because it uses light still instead of electrons. Let's see, what's the hypothesis in diatom bias? I don't know what that question means.
Diatom what?
Bias.
Oh, I don't know.
So the only information you get from the detector is black and white value. Yes, it's a topography map, but it only produces contrast. Brighter or darker pixels is the only information it gives back. But we could use the EDS, the elemental analyzer, to tell us information about what the elements are, or we could use the not the secondary detector, but the backscatter detector to tell us differences in density in the material. But it's not designed to provide us with like elevational information. It's not really. This one isn't designed to capture that kind of information.
I'm ready for the name.
Diplanese.
Da.
Yeah, photogrammetry is pretty cool. And I don't really know how to use Agisoft, but
That's what they use here.
But we have a faculty named Alex Bajijo who that's primarily what he does. He uses not on SEMs, but he uses it with cameras to make, or with drones to make 3D images of archaeological settings. So on a much, much larger scale, but it's the same thing. And he does the same thing. He takes images from many different angles, and then he stitches those together to produce a 3D model. And if you're interested in, if you have a 3D printer and you want to print yourself some diatom models, I have a student who made a bunch of them. He's on Thingiverse. You probably need to change the contrast settings a little.
This one?
Yeah. It's a little dark. If you go to Thingiverse and you search for Joe Mohan, or I can actually do it for you. He has a bunch of models on there. Thingiverse. Yeah.
What's that?
It's a place that does it does for 3D printing. Maybe I'm not looking at the right thing. I want to know users.
There you go.
So this is a diatom that we described. Here's another star Cyrilla mu pinnata. So like if you just go there and click on this, it will let you see all of his 3D models. And he made those in AutoCAD. He didn't make those using photogrammetry. But if you really wanted the photogrammetry version, I could send it to you. I could post that link in my Discord, for example. I think I did that already, but maybe not. I think I posted it in the Discord somewhere. It just maybe didn't get pinned. You know what this one is?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. You don't know what this one is, then?
No, I'm thinking, I don't know.
The other valve doesn't have a rate fee. Does that help?
It's the one I've been talking about this whole time?
No. Diatoma doesn't have any rate fees.
Okay.
No rate fees. It's a completely A-rate-fit diatom.
I don't know, this estuary, I'm not sure no, Cockneys.
It's Cockneys.
This one, yes.
It's got the lineolation around the outside.
Yes.
That is a Cockneys lineolata. That is a diatom that lives attached to plants, for the most part, underwater plants. Oh, I see. For the hypothesis question, they were asking about the distribution in lake environments. Yeah, so we were trying to figure out, we have a bunch of information about the substrate and the depth and the grain size and other things that another researcher captured from the same place where we took the diatom samples. And so we're trying to just use statistics to tell us how the variables that they have might affect the variables that we see with respect to the population and its distribution in the lake. So we had something like, 40 samples that that I analyzed by counting the diatoms, and we're just trying to figure out like what drives the diatoms distribution in the lake. And if it's substrate and depth or one of these things, we should be able to see it by looking at them statistically. So that's step one. And then we're also doing some 3D modeling of the lake basin and changing the lake level and looking at habitat. It's not lanceolata. You're looking at me. Lineata, I think. Lanceolate is a good guess, though. It's a common diatom. Yeah, so something like that. It'll probably turn into a paper. There aren't a lot of people who've looked at. There are a lot of people who've looked at the relationships between variables and diatoms, but the spatial relationships have not been explored very carefully. So, we're trying to see if we can figure it out using sort of geographical tool sets as well. So we'll probably also look at it just statistically, but we'll compare those also spatially. You know this one?
I'm thinking, I don't know, I need to look at it closer.
If you zoom in, it'll probably be obvious, but only if you know the genus, I guess.
This one's Criticula.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
It is obvious. Are we looking at weather patterns? That's the second part of the project. We're going to look a little bit at wind control and something called fetch in lakes, which is basically the longest distance across which the wind can blow, and it affects things like wave energy. And we're going to reconstruct the fetch under different lake elevations to try to see if it can influence the current position of diatoms in the lake and also past, because we have cores that were collected from these sites. I feel like you could turn it a little bit.
Yes,
more.
I'm trying to figure out how much. Because it's in 0, right? So I need to turn
like
it
25
that way.
degrees. So probably want like 330.
Yes, I don't know.
335.
Let's go with 330 and see what happens.
What's the worst that could happen? You went over a little.
No, I need.
Probably.
I need more.
340.
No. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's better.
A canoe-shaped diatom, yeah. This is Criticula cuspidata. Pretty sure.
We've had this one before.
You've had it before?
Mm-hmm.
In your samples?
Yes.
So you might want to zoom in and refocus at very
Yes.
close. Because when you rotate
After-
it takes it out. It takes it out a little bit.
Sometimes a lot.
Sometimes a lot. It actually looks pretty good, but
No.
there you go. Perfect. Yeah, thanks. That's mostly Laura that's doing the GIS analysis, her and my PhD student home. I was mostly responsible for the diatom counts and directing them, which is actually more than I normally do for student projects. I usually just do the directing part, but this material, I think I counted it 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
So it's good that it's been used.
Yeah. And we were trying to figure out like what we could do with it. So, and I kept telling Mike, "Oh, we'll publish something on it." But we had so many other projects that were sort of coming out from this work that were more important than this one. And then I have another paper that I need to, the other one that I need to work on from June Lake, which is the evolution story. So that still needs to be written, and I'm hoping to get that written this summer, but we'll see. I guess it depends on how much work the SURE program is for me, and how well I can keep up with all the other things I have that I still need to get done. So I got a whole bunch of Afrosimbella and Diplanese stuff from Africa to work on, and
Looks like a busy summer.
yeah, but I've got a paper that's like 90, maybe 80% written for the Afrosimbella stuff. And then Itzi's got a Diplanese paper that's mostly written, and she's doing a DNA paper on some of the Diplanese and Afrosimbella stuff that I'll probably be involved with. But the only one I'm really directly responsible for is the Afrosimbella. It's like 7 new species of Afrosimbella.
Oh, wow.
So we've already got them characterized, and they're described and named in the paper. I didn't have the plates made, and I still need to fix some of the details, basically. But like I said, it's mostly written. Just 7 species, 7 new species, no big deal. That's a giant ring laced, girdle band.
Yes.
It's got to be Stephanodiscus niagaris. So, this is Caruscus. This one is Intermedia. That is almost certainly the niagari. That's a Tabularia faculosa. That's also Tabularia. This is this ocellata thing. Here's another Intermedia.
There's a lot going on, like
Amphora.
these ones.
There's a whole bunch of. There's another Amphora. There's another Tabularia.
And
Spatulolica
Epithemia as well.
Epithemia. That's a Lindavia costii right there.
There's a lot going on in this one, but I like the busy ones.
You like it when it's got like I call those family portraits.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
A little bit of everybody. Rod, hello. They said hello to you too.
Hi.
And they said that's an onion ring diatom.
Ah.
How do you feel about onion rings?
I love them.
Okay.
They have to be very well made, though.
You don't want the cheap ones from a bag. You want something that's like handmade.
Yeah, I had ones the other day at a restaurant, and they were very bland. I didn't like them.
Okay. What restaurant was it?
Saratoga.
Oh yeah, they make a lot of bland stuff there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want to pan them online, but go to 7th and L.
Yeah, I live right there.
You haven't gone to 7th and L?
No.
Oh, they've got better. They've got better. Or go to Mager's.
I haven't been
Mager's has
there
really good
either.
onion rings. Maybe
I'll
we'll
have
have to
to
go spend your $6.90
On onion rings. That's
On
a good way
onions.
to spend them, though.
That's a solid use of $6.90.
Yes. This one again.
I'm sort of curious what the. I'm gonna see. They said a message. I wonder what the message was. I'll have to look. Let's see, string elements. It's actually the first time anybody's ever donated anything. Tipped, I guess is what.
To use their words.
Tips is what it's called. Yeah. Money from tips. Yeah, it just goes to my PayPal.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know where the. They said they left a message. Oh, okay. It's a message was, Laura, please start a Twitch stream. Here's your first tip.
Thank you. I'll have to get an account first.
Let's make an account.
Yes.
Then you can have your own Twitch stream. What would you stream?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Life in Terre Haute
Yes.
with no TV. You know what that is?
This one,
If you
yes.
zoom out so I wouldn't ask you.
This one is an amphora.
No.
No? What is it then?
That is Ensynema.
How do you know?
The raphy ends deflect downward,
These ones.
and it's continuous. There's no break in the
Okay.
striae.
So it's the first time we have this one.
Mhm. Probably would help if this raphy was in better focus.
We can.
Good. And then if you look at the ends, you'll probably see that they hook downward. Yeah. They make a frowny face.
Oh, yes.
A fast food sponsored stream. Just onion rings. We'll have Laura eating onion rings on camera and next to the microphone. A total ASMR onion ring eating stream. What do you think?
I could just go around town trying onion rings and then just
Yeah.
rating them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Eating them.
I wouldn't mind it.
Eating them on camera.
Yeah. Give my opinions on the batter and everything.
When you're done with all of the stores and their onion rings, then what?
I can move on to chicken fingers or
Okay,
something.
chicken fingers.
Chicken tenders.
Really, what you should do is the pork tenderloin sandwiches.
Ah.
Those are. Have you tried one of those?
No.
So they take it and then they smash it until it's like completely stretched out,
Uh-huh.
and then they put it on a little tiny bun.
Yeah, I've seen some interesting
there's a
pictures. It's
giant-
like the meat is this size and then they just get like
And
tiny
they deep fry
bread.
it or something as
Yeah.
well. It looks ridiculous.
I've seen pictures. I just haven't tried them yet.
I feel like it's a
That could be the next step after the onion rings.
Techrific suggests a falafel and hummus stream.
Ooh.
I would just argue. I just want to point out, Tech. Before the stream started, I ate a falafel sandwich. That was my lunch today. So
I love falafel.
that's.
It could just be a food-based stream.
all
It doesn't have to
food-based.
be like something
Yeah,
specific.
just you rating the food around Terre Haute.
Yeah,
Yeah, it probably would sell.
I feel like I could do that.
Jolkson says, when diatoms divide, do they get exposed to the environment? How long does it take for them to regrow frustral? They actually don't get exposed at all, Jolkson, because they form one valve half. So like the diatom is composed of two valves, and what they do is they add girdle bands to make the valve wider. Like they stretch out vertically or horizontally or whatever, and then they form one half of the valve on the inside facing this valve, and then one half of the valve forms inside the valve facing this valve. And then basically once they have two complete
It
valves,
separates.
they separate. The girdle bands pop off and they become two separate diatoms. So they're never exposed to the internal part of the diatom's never exposed. And if they're growing in a colony, they do the same thing. The colony just expands, from the middle outward, or from each cell outward, basically. So it's sort of like telescoping and then becoming two diatoms when they're at the end of the telescoping process. So there's no point at which they're exposed at all. And the growth of the skeleton takes less than, for most of them it takes an hour or something like that. It's not very long. So they do it relatively quickly. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Rod wants to know where you're from, and he says you sound like a Spanish speaker.
I am a Spanish speaker. I'm from Colombia.
Yeah.
I've been told I sound French several times.
By
so-
people in Terre Haute?
Yes.
They don't know anything about where people come from. I wouldn't trust them. Techrific says you sound like you come from Israel.
Oh, that's a new one. I have
Yeah.
no idea of other languages other than Spanish
To me,
and
you sound
English.
like a Spanish speaker, but maybe I'm biased by knowing that you're a Spanish speaker.
Yeah,
So.
maybe.
Cosmic Voyager X, that one is a mushroom. It does look a little bit like a mushroom.
The other one or
Yeah,
this
this
one?
other one, not this one. One we were taking a picture of. This is Ensynema. I don't remember what the species name is off the top of my head.
This one's epithemia, right?
That one is Epithemia
Okay.
smithii, or Sorex. Sorex, I think. Rod says, you talked about some diatoms growing to be 1 to 4 segments long. Oh, I don't think those were diatoms that you're thinking of, Rod. I think those are Senodesmus, which is a type of green algae that are either 1, 2, 4, or 8. It's just that group, the Senodesmus group. They're not diatoms or even related to diatoms. Well, they're algae, but they're not related in any way close to them. So they're chlorophytes as opposed to bacillariophytes. Rod says they're from Argentina, and they were guessing that you were Chilean.
Oh. Well, close enough, I guess.
Yeah, they speak Spanish in Chile, right?
Uh-huh.
So you could answer all the questions in Spanish for them. And you can be my translator. Well, I don't know what's going on there.
On this one,
Yeah.
it's very little.
I think it's like the Platessa. It's like it's an araphid valve for a monoraphid diatom, I think.
But we don't know what it is, right?
I think it's Platessa.
Okay.
I don't know the species.
Yes.
Rod says we could have a polyglot stream. I'm guessing some of your lab speaks French. No one in my labs. Well, I speak French poorly, but
I speak a little French,
right.
but that's it.
But we do have an Indian speaker who speaks Hindi and one other Indian language. I don't remember what.
What does Hung Vietnamese?
Yeah, Hung speaks Vietnamese. And I think Hung also speaks French. And I think he speaks another language. I think he speaks 4 languages.
Oh, that's very nice.
Dutch or something. I don't remember. I'll ask him. Tomorrow, we're going to meet maybe.
Yes.
So we'll set up some sort of a meeting, and then I'll ask him how many languages he speaks. But he's not usually available to sit around and talk because he's trying to finish his PhD. And then...
and have family life and take care of his kids and do
yeah.
everything, I don't know.
The rest of my lab speaks...
English.
Indiana English. Just straight, only speaks as if they're from Indiana, and you can only understand them if you've been here for a little while. Let's see. I don't know if Chad speaks any other languages. I've never heard him speak anything else.
I haven't heard him say he speaks any
No.
other languages. Maybe Spanish or something, I would think. I don't know.
I think if he spoke Spanish, he would have pulled that out already. Showed it to you. I don't think my wife speaks any...
Other languages.
I mean, she knows French about as well as I do, which is to say...
This
like,
one's an apical pore field.
Mhm. Both ends, actually. So maybe it's actually a Starosire. Oh, it's a Robusta, I bet.
But like a small one?
Mhm.
So, okay.
Yeah, so it doesn't have the hump quite
yeah.
established. Jeff Wiltry says, I wish I could speak.
Like speak?
That's all they said. You can't speak at all? You mean like you wish you could speak in my channel? Because you can, I can probably set that up.
If you want to join.
I was gonna make, I was gonna do that. Make channel points if you wanted to join the Discord and be able to talk during my stream. Let people outside of the channel talk. Then I thought, I'm gonna have to set the points really high so we don't have a
Yeah.
whole bunch of people in there all at once trying to talk. Unless we had a party.
Might get messy.
Yeah. Rod says the accent they have trouble understanding is Irish. I think everybody has a little trouble with Irish.
It's just very
Scottish.
local and very
Yeah.
strong.
Or like the people who are from the Newfies, from Newfoundland.
Uh-huh.
That language, those people are completely impossible to
On their own.
understand. Yeah, you need a translator. But there's a lot of TV shows that my wife will watch that are from Scotland or Irish actors, and she'll turn on the subtitles
Subtitles?
because she can't understand what they're saying. Oh! Jeff Wiltry says they should have clarified in English. They wish they could speak in English.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, that's better. I thought maybe you were just muted somehow. Or very exaggerated Australian. Yeah, I suppose those sometimes are difficult. Rod says Spanish is their mother language. They learned English. They had 2 years of French in high school, and now they're learning German
Ooh.
at university. It's good. I tried to learn German using what's that?
Duolingo.
Duolingo, yeah. And I got quite far in learning the nouns and stuff, but it made me mad because it was very finicky about knowing the gender of the nouns, and I couldn't remember which gender all the nouns were. And they don't make any sense to me. Like, I mean, you have gendered nouns in Spanish too, right?
Yes.
So, like, what gender is rice?
It's masculine.
How would I know that?
Yeah, you have to know that.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
That's the thing. I'm just like, I don't know what sex tea is. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense in my brain. They should just have everything be it. You know, like,
Yeah, that's definitely something that's
if it's
very
a boat
different.
or a table or a chair, or, I mean, it has some sort of like charisma to it, maybe I would be able to tell. But I feel like rice doesn't have charisma. It's just like a thing. So, like, I can't figure out in my brain, I can't go, oh, that's male. Like, my brain doesn't think rice is male. It just thinks of it as food.
Yeah.
So, but it would count me as wrong if I got the
gender wrong.
the
The
article wrong, right?
yeah.
So if I got the article wrong, because I picked the wrong gender, it'd be like wrong, and I'd be like, I got the whole thing right, but I got that part wrong. And then I asked some
This
German
one's the same
speakers.
Navicula?
Yeah, it's Navicula.
Okay.
I asked some German speakers about it, and they were like, "Oh, we don't care. Like, nobody cares if you get that right." But I was like, "Duolingo cares if I get it right." So it just got.
Sick of it.
Yeah. Newfie is just a dialect, but it's so, and the Irish as well. But they're so extreme that they're hard to understand. I mean, like Cajun or stuff, it's the same way. It's like, it's kind of English, kind of.
What's
French.
this one?
That's a Rhopalodia, now they're epithemia, but a Rhopalodia internal view.
Okay.
That's the costi that you're seeing that from the fibula. Watching movies or documentaries helps quite a bit with pronunciation. Yeah, we usually, like, almost always when we're watching foreign films, we watch it in the native.
I
we watch
hate
subtitles.
translations when
But
they.
I
I don't like it.
But if you, you mean like you hate it when they speak in the wrong language?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like
It
their
loses
mouths-
character. It
Yeah,
loses everything.
yeah.
I don't like
It's
it.
like some weird voice coming out of the wrong person, right? too.
Yeah.
So it's not like they get the same actor to do it in another language. So, yeah, German does have neutral articles for some of the words, which makes it even worse because I've got to remember 3 now, right? Not just male, female,
Which is which.
and also neutral. It's like, how am I supposed to remember this? It's just a lot of extra information that my brain does not want to. I don't want to store that information in my head, and I can't just look it up easily. So, rice doesn't have charisma. It doesn't. It's just rice.
Yeah, I gotta say, rice is not the most
You
interesting
see?
thing in the world.
It's not just me. And I think actually in German, rice might be female, and in Spanish, it might be male. So that's like, how do I know?
Yes.
like when you switch around a language, it makes it even more confusing.
El arroz. So it's
Uh,
male.
Do you know what the problem is, doctor? When you mention to someone that English isn't your first language, they unconsciously block themselves from understanding. Cajun is a Creole of English, French, and maybe something else. Yeah, it's like a weird combination. Exactly. If you try to speak Spanish, you may have some errors, but we can guess the context, so it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't mind
definitely.
that. And I think if I were learning the language or speaking to somebody, they probably don't care if I get the gender of like table or rice wrong or whatever. But the program would mark me wrong, and then I would have to do it over, and I would
Yeah.
just get mad because I'm like, okay, but like
It was technically right.
got the
so-
noun right. I just didn't get the whole thing right. So I feel like, and that would happen a lot because I just couldn't be bothered to memorize the gender.
Yeah.
And English just doesn't have that sort of thing. Like we don't have, you know, gendered objects. They're its or they're people, and people have gender. But like everything else is an it. It's just neutral. And it would be, you know, you can put them on. You can like talk about your SEM being a lady, I guess, if you want.
If you wanted
But
to.
most people in English think that's weird, right? To put some sort of a gender on an object, like
This one's a fragile area, the one in the background.
it's ulnaria.
Ulnaria.
Yeah, we used to be fragile-area.
Okay.
Mother Earth, yeah. Yeah, it's mostly poetic or anthropomorphizing things. And, you know, like a ship might be female or a car might be male or female. But it seems weird, right? It's like when people put nuts on their truck. you know?
Yes.
It's like, I don't think we need
I've
to know
seen that.
We don't need to know what, you know, what gender your truck is.
But if you're asking someone what gender their dog is, do you use it?
No. The dog would have a gender.
But if you're asking, like,
Animated things.
is it a girl or a boy, you use it? Or
If you
just,
don't know,
Uh-huh.
you would say like a baby or the cat or dog.
Anything you don't know the gender of.
I don't refer to it as an it because people get mad, but in my brain there's still an it.
But
until I know
so
the gender.
what word do you use? He or she?
I would say, is the baby a boy or a girl, or is the
Ah.
dog a boy or a girl? Right.
Okay.
I would just reverse it to the
Yeah, yeah.
actual organism, and I wouldn't use it because people will get mad at you because they don't want to think of their animated objects as inanimate objects, right? Because we usually use it for inanimate objects. It won't let you put a question mark or punctuation.
But that one, yes?
No.
Okay. So it's Rhopalodia, which now it's epithemia.
Yeah, it's Gibba.
And then the other one was Ulnaria.
Ulnaria, yeah.
Ul- okay.
Truck gender reveal. It's better if you able to understand 60% of what people say instead of the exact pronunciation, a couple of words and flaws. Yeah, I agree. And I remember, like, I had 4 years of French in high school and tested into the highest level, like, French class in college. So, like, I remember a lot of the French words, and but I haven't spoken it in, you know, I haven't been in high school for a really long time. And
I have an easier time understanding written French.
32 years, I think, since I've been in high school. So it's been a long time, and so I haven't spoken French in a
Yeah,
really
it's
long
hard.
time. And oh, there's a Cimbella.
This one?
Yeah, etymology and linguistics are kind of fun. As long as people aren't getting offended by it, I guess. Sometimes people will get mad when you pick at the way they say things.
Well, it depends on the context. If you're just being like,
Yeah. I mean, if you're making fun of it, that's
Yeah.
one thing. If you're just talking about it, that's another. So,
context is important.
true. Yeah, I don't mind. I actually would have liked it. I just don't like that tool. right? It's not that I didn't want to learn German, it's that I didn't want to use that tool anymore. I was like, I need to find something that doesn't like pick at the things that I
You
think
can
are
start
useless.
watching German TV shows and things like that.
I could, but then I have to watch TV. So
There's a good next Netflix one.
a good Netflix TV show
Well, Netflix show.
in German. What is it?
It's called Dark.
Seen it?
Okay.
I watched that whole thing
Yeah, yeah. In German?
in German. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. That is a good show. I really like the opening scene and the music. They have all these like mirrored images. You know, they look really cool. Seen it?
I started it, but I didn't finish it.
Why not?
I don't know. I was watching it in German, and it was hard to understand. And then the plot is really
The
complicated.
plot is extremely complicated.
So I just, when I
It's-
watch Netflix, I want to relax and not be like,
It's made for watching, like binge watching.
yes.
It's not like
you-
it's not a show you could watch like
once
a week.
No, and that's what I was doing, and I would have to
Yeah.
go back and be like, who's
'cause
this one again?
It's super confusing in time and space, right?
So I just stopped
So-
because there were too many characters.
You just
and
need to watch it quickly.
on one go.
Yeah, sit and watch it like one every day or two a day, and then it'll make a lot more sense.
Yeah. I just switched to easier ones like The Crown.
I haven't seen that.
I loved it. And
Is it German?
No, it's British.
What gender is Diatom?
Una, it's a girl.
It's a girl. There you go. Rod says English speakers have a hard time with sujeto tacito.
With what? I wanna.
Sujeto tacito?
Which comment is it?
The highlighted one.
Sujeto tácito. Yes.
Sujeto tacito. What does that mean?
It's like
Tacit.
it's like when you the subject is like when you're speaking like how do I explain it, like you don't use the subject, so sometimes you just
Oh, I get it. We like imperial.
I'm trying to think of an example,
Like
but
if I just say go home, where I don't have a subject, but
yes
you're given. Yeah. Implicit person.
yes, so you're not saying the actual like
Yeah.
word, you just
That's a verb tense for us, right? Just a imperial form of the verb.
Yes, something like that. So you don't make it obvious. What is it that you're
Yeah.
talking about?
That's also how my wife talks about everything. She just starts talking, and I'm like,
What?
I haven't
What is
figured
it?
out what we're talking about yet. And she'll be like 10 sentences in, and I'm like, could we start with like what we're talking about? 'Cause I don't
Can we go
understand.
back?
I can't figure out what we're talking about yet. Like, oh, that's a huge.
This one,
Sorella,
Sorella, right?
From learning German from DW TV channel and a whole movie to teach the language. Yeah, it starts with A1 basic and progresses all the way through to B1 by the end. Nick Bering says, I got about 10 minutes into Dark before I noticed it was dubbed and then switched to German. It took you 10 minutes. Yeah, they sometimes the mouths just don't match up, but or then the voices don't match up. But you can be fooled a little bit at first because if you're streaming it in particular, sometimes they desync. Yeah. I don't ever dub them. I usually watch it in the native language. And the only thing I watched dubbed is if I'm watching something while I'm working out.
Oh yeah, then you
And-
don't want to read or like.
And like so I watched a bunch of like Korean TV shows or something, and I just had them speak English because I was busy working out and I was trying not to like, the font's really small and I'm trying to run at the same time, on my elliptical, and then it's like, I can't read and do that at the same time. So I just try not to watch things that are too frequently that are foreign while I'm
Working out.
So. Yeah, reading subtitles requires more focus, and also I think the other problem with it though is sometimes I end up just reading
And not
watching
watching the show. Yes.
So I mean that's where it becomes a little bit. I don't dislike it. I just sort of find like, especially if it's French and I can kind of understand French, I should just be like ignoring it and trying to figure out what they're saying. But
This
I
one's
end up just
inside
reading.
Nima?
A different one.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Can you please give me the topic of conversation, honey, so I know why I'm nodding? Exactly. But I think you're right, Nick. When I read, I'm reading along. I think I focus a lot better, and I would actually argue that a lot of times when we're watching things, when we have the subtitles on, it forces my wife to watch the show because she does a lot of like this while she's watching the TV show,
Yes.
and if it's got subtitles, she can't be
She
like
has to.
scrolling Twitter at the same time, you
Yes.
know. Or she can, but then she constantly backs it up while we're watching it, and I just have to sit there and watch it 2 or 3 times with her. So we know how that goes. Oh, you get used to listening to English podcasts at 2.5 to 3 times speed. That's interesting.
That's really fast, no?
It is very fast. My wife is always listening to herself at 2 to 3 times speed because she records her lectures, and then she fixes the captioning, and it auto captions most of it, right? So like whatever she's saying, it will caption it, and then she speeds it up and watches it to see where the captions are wrong with what it's saying, but she doesn't want to have to sit through like an hour
The whole
long
thing,
lecture.
yeah.
So she speeds it up. So I always come in the room and I hear her talking, and then like she's typing stuff as it's fixing it, you know.
I have a friend that likes to watch, I don't know, novelas. It's like soap operas, I guess
Yeah.
it would be. But she says she doesn't have the patience to go through the whole thing to get to the drama, so she speeds it up.
It just skips through.
She doesn't skip through, but she watches
just
it
want the drama,
like
and then
at
the drama,
like at
and then
a
the drama.
faster pace that you would normally. And I'm like, you're not enjoying the thing.
This is, you know, a classic American pastime is to watch football, like our football, not
Yeah.
soccer football. And of course, I almost can't bear to watch it because in a quarter, there's 15 minutes of gameplay, and there's 3 minutes of things that actually happen, and the other 12 minutes is like beer
Nothing.
commercials, replays, people running into a huddle, people running on and off the you know, in and out of the field, and to get through an entire football game is about 4 hours. But the amount of time where the actual plays are going on is 3 minutes for each quarter.
No, that's, I don't know.
So if you add up 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, and 3 minutes for the entire game, it makes 12 minutes.
Wow.
You can watch an entire football game, miss nothing at all, and
If
it
you
takes
just watch-
12 minutes.
Ah.
But it's stretched across 4 hours.
Well, it's a little bit, right now, there's the Giro d'Italia, like it's a cycling race.
Yes?
And it's stretched out through several days, but it's sort of the same, like there's days where you can just sit there and watch and nothing happens,
Yeah.
and then the next day everything goes down in like the last 10 minutes and everyone loses their minds. Yeah.
Yeah. So that doesn't work. I primarily watch hockey. I will watch soccer if I'm like feeling lazy on a Saturday morning or something, and I just want to sit and watch some TV and sort of doze. I mean, it's not that I dislike soccer. It's that it's It's
Soccer is hard for me. I don't
It's
know.
mostly kicking the ball around in the middle of the field, and then like some really intense moments where they're right, right in front of the. Oh, it's another
This one.
anumastis. So most of the time is like not the actual like trying to score a goal, but like trying to reposition yourself so you can. Maybe it's not anumastis.
And this.
No, it is.
No.
It is. That's anumastis. Rostratum. Let's see. Sorry, I was ignoring chat for a second there. I have to speed it up only if the movie or the show doesn't seem too interesting. Yeah. Don't captions export to a flat text format so you can skim them without having to watch the video? They do, but I think she backs it up and makes sure that what she's saying, because sometimes the captions are really far off from what she's doing. So I never actually sat and watched what she was doing because while I appreciate that she's going through all the extra work of putting captions into hers, I just let the auto caption be wrong. I'm just like, I think it's funny when it takes whatever words I'm saying and puts in some gibberish that sounds kind of like what I said but doesn't make any sense. So I'm not as good at that as she is. I don't have the patience for it. So good movies have perfect pacing by default. That's true. Yeah. There's some basic thing with timestamps. You can get back to it. She just listens to it, and then also I think she double checks to make sure, what she said makes sense.
She likes the hard way.
She likes to do everything the hard way. Yeah. Rod says the Giro d'Italia is like multiple hours of cycling and hundreds of kilometers. Yeah.
For like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Let's see. The thing is that you can't keep viewers entertained for that long, so you better watch highlights. Yeah, I mean, if you weren't constantly flipping to the highlights, though, I feel like football would be super boring. And like maybe the same thing's true with any of those like really long sports. It's like a bunch of replays, and if you weren't doing it, people would just be like, this is boring. But when they start showing like replays of something that I've just happened, I feel like I just saw this. Why do I need a replay of it?
Well, these races are really good. Like there's certain days that you have to watch it because those days are important days, and there are some days in which nothing happens. So you just sort of have to know which are the important stages, I guess.
Let the students fix it, or just let it be broken. I feel is fine.
The captions.
Yeah, the captions. I mean, I think it's really important if you have people who are not, if they have handicaps in terms of their hearing, they're hearing impaired. I think it's important, but
if you don't have anyone,
if you don't have anyone that's good, definitely right? In that category, or like in my wife's case, I keep telling her there's maybe like 5 people watching the lectures to begin with, and they probably didn't turn the captions on. They're probably like watching TV while it's playing in the background. They're not, they're not intensely focused on what you're saying probably most of the time. So.
This one's very nice.
It is very nice.
This one is
Anumastis rostratum. You want some extra points for the next exam. That'd be a good way to do it. Give out extra credit for people to do my work for me. Except for, I think usually when I do recorded lectures, they're only for my online classes. So I don't have students in the class with me for those. Otherwise, I just actually have lectures. So. I don't know how curling became a game that appears in the Olympics. Was it curling? They throw a disc and then somebody cleans right before. Actually, I think curling's very interesting to watch.
I don't know. It's definitely interesting. Is a good word to describe it. I
like watching it because it's like one. There's a lot of people going yep, and then they're sweeping, and then they're like hard, and then they start sweeping harder. I find it to be very intense. And then it's like shuffleboard after that. But if I were going to pick something that was boring, it probably wouldn't be curling. Just because I don't know, it seems very dramatic, actually.
Does it?
Yeah. Once you know the rules, and then you see people throw this giant stone and it rolls down, it's suspenseful.
A little bit, yeah.
So it's way more suspenseful than like bowling.
Yeah.
Because the bowling guys are just like they throw the ball and it's a strike every time. I don't know. It's like, you know, the only time there's drama is when they miss something. But you know, there's a lot of strategy involved, and I don't understand what it is most of the time.
In
So-
curling or in
Yeah,
bowling?
in curling. Strategy for bowling is just knock all the pins over.
Yes.
And I feel like you could play that game and there's nobody playing in the other lane and you still are doing the same thing, right?
Mhm.
It's just like totally you know, a non-team sport where you're just throwing a ball down a lane. Whereas with curling, it requires them to make decisions about where the stones are going. So maybe it's not for everybody. But I actually watched that for the Olympics, for the Winter Olympics. Yeah. Curling is majestic and fascinating physics. See? There you go. She deserves more viewers just because of her effort for people with hearing disabilities or... Yeah, exactly. I mean, she puts way more effort into it than I think the kids even appreciate. And they probably don't realize how much time goes into writing a lecture and rewriting lectures and then recording lectures and making them sound perfect and then going through and fixing all the
captions.
And I mean, it's an incredible amount of work. And more of them should watch it, but they don't. Generally speaking, I think most of them don't try very hard. So, entry-level classes. Super expensive. It's super expensive to curl? Isn't it just rocks and brooms?
I don't know.
The top Winter Olympic game for me is skiing with rifle shots. Oh, is it biathlon? Is that what that's called?
I don't know.
They do cross-country skiing and then they shoot, and then they do ski and then shoot, and then ski and then shoot. They have to that is an incredibly crazy...
I'm
event.
not familiar with that one.
You don't know that one?
No,
Okay. You watch the Winter Olympics?
not really.
Oh, so it's like they do cross-country skiing, which like raises your heart rate, and then they have to stop, lay down in the ground and shoot targets, and then get back up and ski some more, cross-country ski, and then lay back down and shoot at each one of the stations. So it's this crazy pattern where their heart rates are going super fast, and then they're trying to do something that requires accuracy in between. So it's like a race with the shooting in between. It's really intense and also super interesting.
It's the first time I'm...
Never heard of it.
No.
Yeah. Del Maximum, hello. He also loves the biathlon. Yeah, and if they miss a target, they have to do another lap. That's a penalty associated with their missing the shot.
Missing?
Yeah. So it's like a race with a penalty and mixed mediums. It's kind of crazy. So there you go. There's a guy over here that Jeff will try is talking about the science and the physics of curling. It's actually really fascinating. They melt, they're melting the ice a little bit when they brush it. They're not just cleaning, they're melting. And they actually cause the stones to curl. That's where the name comes from. So they can basically manipulate getting around the stone that's in front of it. So, and there's also sort of a spin aspect that comes into play, and the strength at which they throw the stones matters, as the speed plays a role in how much it will curl. So. You're into the biathlon, huh, Del? It was one summer when they had, they showed a bunch of the I don't know if they still have this as a summer sport, but it's like this weird cycling sport where they're in a tiny little circular arena, and it's just like two people, and they're racing each other, but they don't start racing right away. So it's like they are doing this really weird, barely moving the pedals very slowly.
And then they just go?
And then when one person takes off, the other person takes off, and then it's like go, 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 go as fast as they can because they just have to beat the other person. I can't remember what that one's called, but that's super weird. I was like,
what are they doing?
These people are like just creeping along on their little bikes, you know, like super,
It's
super
little
slowly. Well, they're big people. And then suddenly they just start going around like crazy, trying to outrace the other person. I don't remember what that one's called, but it's super weird. Velodrome. Yeah, and then the track is like super slanted as well, so they're riding their bikes at like a 45-degree angle or something. It's very weird. All right, Rod says they got to go prepare a presentation for one of their classes, and they said have a great stream and thanks for having it. Thanks for hanging out with us,
Thanks for
Rod.
coming.
Yeah. We're having a nice casual stream while in the background there's SEM stuff going on, and in the foreground we're just talking about whatever we feel like, apparently. It's the way we like to do it here sometimes. I'm going to move us into just chatting soon. That's a good one. Got a little bit of junk on it.
I think we can turn it.
You definitely can turn it. That one's just straight 45 will do it.
Just 45?
Yeah, 45. Oh wait, you're at 340?
3, yes.
Like 15 or 25? 25.
Like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
See me doing math in my head? Velodrome racing. It's dangerous, yeah. You have to pedal at 45 to 55 kilometers per hour while taking right angle and steep curves and lots of strategy. It's really crazy to watch. I watched that and I was just like, what am I watching? This is so weird. Are you working on, what are you working on, Del? You're at work? Doing work things? Answering the phone? I feel like maybe you could turn it back just a little bit.
To make it like
Perfect,
that?
yeah. Like 2 degrees. Or you could leave it where it is. It's probably not that big of a deal, to be honest.
I don't know. I'll try to just get it a little bit more. Oh, no, that way. Too much.
Doing work stuff. Idly working on your Hydra logo. Oh, cool. First one was only 1,000. Oh, you need to be really big. Yeah, if you want it to go on like a puzzle or something,
Oops.
It has to be super high. I had that problem. I had to go back through and like resample some of my images at a higher resolution so that I could put them on shower curtains or something for the Redbubble site. So. It's good. I think you can just save your vector drawing at a different... If it's vector drawing, can't you just save it at a higher resolution? Or just make it bigger? Oh, it fixes the line widths, so you probably have to go back through and change all the line widths and things. Pixelate it. Well, it's fun learning stuff.
It is.
That's my whole job. Learning stuff and then teaching it to other
Teaching
people.
it back, yes.
Are there any hot topics in the diatom community recently? I don't know. You think of any hot topics?
I don't know.
Why do people always want to know what the hot topics are? There's not a lot of diatom fist fighting that goes on. It's more like everybody's equally confused about everything. And
Everyone's doing their best, and that's
they're all doing their best trying to figure it out. We don't have like a lot of contention. At most, there's things that people do that they apply different techniques that become like interesting. So I would say right now there's a lot of people looking at ancient DNA and also metabar coding for diatom analysis. And people like me who are sort of classically trained diatomists who look at the skeleton and do taxonomic issues, but don't look at the DNA aspect. We don't have that sort of option in our tool sets, although ancient DNA is one that is pretty interesting. But I do have colleagues who do it, so I just work with them. It's not really like a hot topic, but there's some really cool things that I think you can do with diatom, both paleoecology and taxonomy. And one of my colleagues, Andy Alverson, is one of these DNA people. And another one of my colleagues, Tricia Spanbauer, is, oh look, you can see all the little pore coverings.
Yes.
Very cool. Is also one of these sort of DNA-based people. And my friend Itzi is also one of these DNA-based people, although she also is classically trained. And I mean, so are all of them at one point, I think. So there's some focus on that, and some focus on resurrection ecology, which is sort of like a really interesting concept for me. And we're trying to apply some of these resurrection ecology concepts to paleoecological records. So Mark Edlund, who's also another one of my colleagues, has a PhD student, David Burge, who Mark and David took some core material from a lake, and then I don't remember exactly how old the oldest sample was, but they were able to basically resurrect diatoms from the core.
Wow.
So when we were talking about diatoms in the sediment being dead, and I was trying to be a little hesitant about it, part of why I was being that way is because they aren't like fully functional living cells, but they're not alive, but they're not quite dead either. And some of them, sometimes people can take them and basically add them into nutrient matrix, basically.
And they come back to life? Wow.
And so he had a really interesting idea in that paper that suggested that we should try this, like bring them back to life and then culture them and see if their ecology is basically the same as it used to be today, and see if that helps us understand reconstructing the past ecology for that sample. But I think there's actually some more interesting uses for it that I don't want to reveal because it may be the topic of future grants that we're working on. But I think that it's actually a really interesting idea to bring ancient diatoms back to life, and then because many of them can go hundreds of years and then just come right back to life. But
like in a cyst form?
Yeah, some of them in cyst.
Yes.
But some of them are just like preserved,
resting there,
or something. And they're able to be transported outside of water for quite some ways. occasionally, like if they just get blown into the air and they get blown around by the wind, and then they land someplace, and then if it's in water, sometimes they'll just come right back to life in that water system. So not all diatoms are equally capable of being resurrected, but we're really interested in trying to apply this idea for some cool analyses that we're doing.
We're not
planning on doing
revealing right
secret,
now.
my secret future work. But I think those are some pretty interesting.
Which one's
topics.
this one?
That's an acanthidium, or it's probably Ziegleri again. Yeah, I think it's Ziegleri again. I think that's a Platessa Ziegleri, because it doesn't look like it's flexed at all. It looks like it's flat, which is usually Platessa.
Platessa?
Let's see. Oh, gossip. Spill the diatom tea. I don't really have it. Yeah, exactly. It sounds like the lab is getting ready to turn into a microscope version of Jurassic Park. Yes. We're going to resurrect the diatoms, and then Laura's going to stand in front of them like this, and with their arms out, and she'll control them like Chris Pratt did, exactly.
I didn't see the new Jurassic Park ones.
I haven't seen it either, actually.
I loved the old one, so I just stuck with those ones.
You liked it, and you were like, "That's it. I don't want anybody ruining it."
With Jumanji as well, I didn't think redoing Jumanji was a good idea.
I don't think frog DNA would help diatoms very much, but I don't think we can bring the really old ones back. I think we can only bring the ones back that are like hundreds,
fairly
or
recent,
maybe thousands of years at best. But there is DNA that's preserved from really old diatoms, and I think they've managed to go back at least 10,000 years, and maybe even farther, more like 100,000 years, and find diatom DNA in the sediments. So I don't think those are like diatoms they're going to bring back to life or anything, but they are, the DNA material is still there. So I suppose they could try to mix it with modern DNA and make diatom dinosaurs.
The thing with ancient DNA is that it's most of the times damaged, and it's just certain fragments that you get. So that's how you know you have cross-contamination. If you have long fragments, it's not ancient DNA. So I don't know that you could actually make some hybrid.
Get a CRISPR out, and we'll see what we can do.
Yes.
I should do this. One for open set, and one for Mind of a Snail. There you guys go. Zombie diatoms, that's exactly right. We're going to bring them back to life. We're going to resurrect them, and then they won't function much like zombies. They'll function like actual diatoms. They just start dividing and living again. But, zombie or vampire or it's the same thing. That's the same diatom you just looked at.
Really? It
Yeah.
looks smaller.
I think it's the same one. It might be a different individual, but it's the same species. You don't think so?
No, I don't know. I just,
You don't believe me?
It looks different. I'm
You gonna
just
look for those little
surprised.
pore coverings?
Yes.
You don't
but
believe
they're
me.
not there. I'm taking a picture because I need to know how this looks like.
Okay. We looked at birds earlier, and now we're looking at diatoms. We're just moving around in all of the things that I like to look at on the microscope. This is an extra long afternoon session too,
Yes. I don't know.
because we don't have anything to do.
Time goes by really fast on
We're,
the SEM.
It does. And also, we're out of classes. So
Yes. Time constraints are just less.
That's right. Emails.
I was just writing an email to you when you walked in, and I was like, yay.
That's what happens. Anytime anybody tries to email me, I just show up.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that would be the case. And it worked.
Hey, look, it's Glorgana. Glorg. Diatoms are really just flightless birds. I don't think that's true. Jeff will try, but you're glad for the later stream, and you're glad to catch me in the lab. You missed it, Glorgana. Earlier, I was streaming birds again, and we saw blackpoll warblers, palm warblers, Tennessee warblers, Nashville warblers. I got a really great view of a red-bellied woodpecker. It just sat on my I couldn't even fit the whole thing in my zoom. I had to zoom out a little bit to get him in because I had just like from the midsection to the head was like an entire photograph, like entire frame of my field of view. We saw tufted titmouse, all the regular things that I usually get on there, you know. But all the warblers were out as well. And then there was a warbler I couldn't identify. I forgot to look it up. I thought maybe it was like a black-throated green, but I don't think it was. And I looked at magnolia, and it wasn't that one. And I kept going through all the warblers I knew, and I couldn't place it. So I need to look it up. Maybe it was just like a male yellow warbler or something. I don't remember. But you'd have loved it, I bet. I mean, I have, on my phone, I have this app called Merlin, which just identifies the birds for me if I put the picture in. So, and, you know, it usually gets it to 1 or 2, but if it's a warbler and I got a nice clear view of it, it'll tell me what it is. I just got to get the pictures off my camera first, and then, but I'll post them onto my Discord. I put all of the pictures onto Discord and also Instagram, so you'll see them. Well, I didn't put all of the pictures on there. I put the good pictures on there. Man, that's weird looking.
It's the same pattern.
Yes, I'm definitely saying diatoms can fly. In fact, if you run a plankton net through the clouds, you will find diatoms flying in there. In the wind. Alive. People have done this. Not just diatoms, other types of algae as well.
That's very nice.
You're best at IDing dead birds that don't move. These ones weren't dead, but they're no longer moving because I took pictures of them while they were standing still. So I feel like I'm pretty good at identifying most of the birds just by sight. It's just the warblers, there's so many of them. And like the blackpolls live in the tree above my house. So once they arrive, they're here all summer. But like my sister's never seen a blackpoll. She goes to Maggie Marsh or whatever it is up in Cleveland where all the birds come. And she's like never seen a blackpoll. All the other warblers, just everything. And I've gone up there a couple of times with her. and taken a bunch of pictures of all those warblers. It's really amazing during the migration. But I didn't see any blackpolls when I was up there either. But somehow they make it to my house, and then they live there all summer, right above my roof. So I could usually just look out the window and there's some in the trees. But it's kind of exciting because when I post pictures of them, my sister gets really mad and jealous because she doesn't have any of those, and I keep getting them. So, and now they're on my Twitch stream too, so that'll be especially good. I'll share the link with her and I'll be like, check out these cool warblers that showed up on my Twitch stream. They were also washing themselves on the lily pads in my koi pond, which was amazing. Because they aren't heavy enough to cause the lily pads to sink, so they just jump on the lily pads, and then it's like a bird bath, and they just hang out there and flutter around in the water. It was hilarious. So. You have a decent track record with IDing fall warblers. Yeah. You have a deluxe zoom lens. Yeah, it's pretty deluxe. That lens is equivalent of a 200 to 800 millimeter lens, and it doesn't. People are like, "Oh, it's so big," but it actually doesn't look. It's not nearly as big as you think it is because it has just a light cover on the front of it. It makes it look like, I don't know, 10% bigger, 20% bigger. But I have a teleconverter that I can put on that's 2x that makes it a 1600 millimeter lens, and that's how I take pictures of like the surface of the moon.
That's amazing. I love those ones.
Yeah, I love those too. Those are some of my favorites. But if it's really bright out, I can switch to that one of these times, and you'll be able to tell. Like, I get so close to the birds, I can't. Like, all I can get is like their head in the picture. So I took it off. But also, I was out early this morning. Well, earlier than usual. It wasn't like super early, but the birds weren't even eating yet. They were just flying around. And then sometime around 10, I think they started actually eating. And then there was just like a swarm there for a little bit where I couldn't keep up with all the birds. There were so many birds in my backyard. And they were all making a huge racket. So hope you're doing okay, Lorgana. Sorry to hear about your cat. They're mostly grimacing. Yeah, they're giving me a look like, why are you filming me? I'm trying to get laid here. And they're yelling out their little calls. And there was a scene in the stream today where there was 2 female mourning doves and 1 male mourning dove, and he was strutting around cooing and like trying to get close to them, and they just totally shut him down. Both of them. They either flew off or they like hunkered down, like, nope, not gonna happen. And he just went one to the other and then back to the first one, and neither of them wanted anything.
He was
to do
not
with him.
successful today.
He was not in the morning. I don't know about the rest of his day, but it did not go well for him in the morning. So
This one's like a Starosyra family kind of thing.
yeah, I don't know what that is. Your guess is as good as mine. This is a really weird diatom with almost nothing in it.
Stauros, I don't know.
We spent the whole stream on number 3 again.
Maybe we just need one stream per stop. I don't know.
You were like, this time we're not going to spend the whole time on 7. And
We're spending it on
we
number
spent the
3.
whole time on number 3.
Next time we go to number 4 and so on.
I mean, whatever you want.
I mean, this one just had so many like,
They're all like
things.
this. They're full of such a wide range of things.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, probably we should stop by 5
Okay.
because I need to eat dinner with my family.
Yes.
My wife's gonna start wondering, where am I? And why am I still
What's
streaming?
taking you so long?
Why am I still streaming from the SEM? It's been 4 hours.
Doesn't feel like it. It's really weird.
I know. It never feels like that much time has passed when you're on the SEM. It always is like I start and then I'm like, okay, I guess we're done. Been 2 hours already. And this is like a double stream. It's like we went from 1 to 3 and then 3 to 5. So she sometimes does send me messages through chat. She has a Twitch account. And sometimes when I was doing the bird watching, she came on and was like, you know what you should do is stream the cicadas when they come out.
Oh yeah, I heard we're getting them, and I'm really scared.
Why are you scared?
Because I was told the noise is exceptional.
Well, I mean, that's not scary, is it?
Well, I don't want to be like overwhelmed, like, oh my god.
I don't think it'll be that way. It might be a little bit loud, but I don't think it's scary.
When are we expecting them?
I'm sure Glorgana knows. She's pumped for the Brood X. So she doesn't usually yell at me, though. She knows where I am, because she could come on the stream and see
And
where
just
I am.
check what you're doing.
So I think she said she's got Girl Scouts tonight. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what she's doing at 5 o'clock. So
She's a Girl Scout?
she's a Girl Scout troop leader.
But she was a Girl Scout, like...
I don't think she was ever in Girl Scouts.
You don't have to be a Girl Scout to be like a
The
leader?
leader? I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't know what Sylvia is. She's not like a real Girl Scout yet. She's like the step below that.
Uh-huh.
Brownie, Pixie,
I don't
something.
know.
They've got different names. She was looking for somebody to help. And this time I think they're going to the park to do geocaching.
Uh-huh.
So she's going to go bury some stuff around so that the kids could find it. And then she's going to put stickers or something in there for them when they find it, so they have something to
Be proud of.
to be proud of, to stick on each other, to do whatever you do with a sticker.
Yeah.
Some people in my lab love stickers, so
I know.
I think it's a good choice. Largana says they have started to emerge in northern Indiana, so it won't be too long. Yeah,
I don't
they're
know.
in southern Illinois. So I haven't heard any cicadas yet. It's usually a little bit later in the day when they start. But I'm sure there's going to be like the annual ones will also come out this year, because they
We
come
get
out
the
every
normal
year.
ones in Colombia, like, so I know what the sound is like. I was told very specific things about the 17-year ones, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So I'll probably do some streams where you'll be able to hear the cicadas, and I don't know, maybe I'll put a net over myself and just hang out in the yard with them if they're all over our grass, eating
Oh my God,
every piece
no.
of vegetation in the landscape. Jeff will try says, I love stickers.
I mean, they are pretty cool, but they're, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I haven't really heard a lot at night yet. I'm kind of hoping for... Oh, I was going to mention this. When the thunderstorms start,
No.
When the thunderstorms start, I'm going to stream the thunderstorms from
I don't like
from my camera.
thunderstorms. I
Lightning
get
and
really
thunder?
intimidated by them.
I was testing out my camera and the live composite, which is what I use to take pictures of lightning. So if you haven't seen my lightning photos before...
I have, and it's not very nice.
What don't you like about it? Like the whole sky is lightning, right?
That's right. That's what I don't like.
You're afraid of lightning.
Yes.
Well, so I can...
This one's
I
very
can-
real.
That is a Cockneys.
Cockneys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like thunderstorms. I get really
What don't you like
uncomfortable.
about 'em?
I
What's not to like?
I feel like I might die at any second. I don't know.
It's not going to come get me.
I don't know.
And if it does, I guess I was having fun when it did. I still got 2 3/4 of myself genetically spread around the place. It'll be fine.
I don't know. I don't like them.
But I will do some thunderstorm streams. I'm almost sure of it. And you'll be able to see the lightning and me taking pictures of the lightning as it's happening.
This one's the Ropalodia one? What
Is
is
it?
this one? I don't know.
I think
It's a question.
I think it's a navicula.
A navicula?
It's just on its side. Yeah, I think it's a navicula.
Huh.
Or maybe Encynema. Yeah, I think it's Encynema. I think the bottom side is flat and the top is rounded.
Okay. So it's like
The first Encynema that we took a
inside
picture
inside
of.
view and then outside view.
Yep.
Okay.
What about heat lightning?
What are those ones?
Like cloud to cloud lightning.
Oh no, I don't like any kind of lightning.
You don't like any of it.
No.
The heat lightning ones are the best because there's no rain and it's just like a light show.
And if you
It's
get
gonna
the
be
like the thunder after, oh my god, no.
There's not really a lot of thunder with the heat lightning. Although I guess it's sort of a rumbling.
I don't know what I did.
Ball lightning. I think ball lightning is terrifying. I've never seen ball lightning and I'd like to keep it that way.
What's that one?
Oh, they're like this sort of weird, like hovering ball of lightning that just sometimes goes right through windows and into people's houses.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Is it common here?
Super rare.
Okay.
I don't think it almost never happens.
Because I've heard about tornadoes.
Tornadoes are common.
And I don't want to deal with that, so I don't know. My house doesn't look that safe.
You'll be fine. Most of the time, the tornadoes, they go around big cities more frequently because of the urban heat island effect.
I don't
Very
know.
rarely do
I
they just
don't.
like cut through a big city. Is that a Mastagloria?
Oh, which one? Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Is it a legend? I don't know. I mean, I think people have seen. Yeah, it is
Oh,
Mastagloria.
yes, that's so pretty.
I don't know, OpenSet. I'd have to look into it. I mean, I guess I've seen documentaries where people claim to have seen ball lightning. There you go. Got the Rayfi. Got the Partecta. So this diatom is Mastagloria. It has a very interesting sort of a septa-like structure around the outside, that fringe that's there called a Partecta.
This one.
Yeah. All the way around.
Mhm.
It's sort of like sticking into creating that sort of weird keystone shape. I don't know, I guess I'd have to look into it to see whether it's real.
The ball lightning?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just remember being like 7 years old and being at Universal Studios, and they have these.
Universal Studios.
Yes, in Orlando.
Okay.
And they have this tornado simulation that's for movie Twister.
Mm-hmm.
And I was terrified, and I wanted to leave immediately, and I just wanted, it was the worst experience ever.
Huh. When I was
And
little, I used to
I
dream.
think that's why I'm like really terrified. That experience, I did not like it, and it was awful.
When I was little, I used to dream that tornadoes were chasing me.
Oh no, I only got one tornado warning in Denver.
Mhm.
And I was like really nervous, and my aunt was like, "It's a warning. It's not coming. It's just,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh my god, I don't like it."
You should read Ball Lightning by Chixin Liu. Oh yeah, we were gonna stop the stream at 5, so I probably should do that.
Yes, when this picture
Probably plan.
ends.
I mean, you could probably squeeze one more picture in there. Should probably plan for what we're gonna do. Let's see. We have choices for people to raid. Speckled Science, Ishurna, Num the Geek, Rams Reef. Any of those appeal to you? You don't know any of them, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
I say we go get Numb the Geek. Because I force him to play music all the time.
Oh my god.
At my will. And I haven't raided him for at least 2 weeks. So I feel like it's time we do that again.
So you just basically transfer this stream into, or how to say it? Like-
Yeah, all of my people go to his channel.
Uh-huh.
So it makes his channel.
That's how we got the spider people?
Yeah, that's how we got the spider people at the beginning. And at the end of my bird stream, I sent the spider people to the spider.
Uh-huh.
So, like, all of my people went to his, and then they came from his back to mine. And then we'll send ours to Numb the Geek. All I have to do is get Numb the Geek to then raid me, and I can show up at like 6:30 or 7 or whenever it is when he's done with his stream. And then I'll just have the same people come back in for the 3rd time.
You're streaming again?
No.
Master Glow, yeah.
I think this is it for me for the day. I have to also come up with $6.90 for some reason. I don't know what the 90 cents is about. He's in a B-rate back screen right now. That's his wife.
The music person?
Yeah, but it'll be okay.
Okay, so...
You'll find one more thing for us,
Okay.
and then we'll go raid Numb the Geek. It better be the best thing.
Oh my god, no. I cannot guarantee that.
We may not save the best for last, is that what you're saying?
What's this one?
I don't know what that is. We're super far out. Oh, it's a Nitzia.
Nitzia. Yes.
You're gonna give them a Nitzia to say goodbye?
I guess so. It's the first one we've seen today, so.
Okay. Thanks for hanging out, PLNRND. Playing around? Playing around. Thanks for hanging out. If you were a license plate, I figured you out. Perfect. Okay. We're going to send everybody over to my friend and yours, Numb the Geek. He plays folky music and
If you just
guitar.
stop the stream and that's it, people get lost? Or
Yeah,
what
if I just
happens?
turned it off, they'd have to get lost.
Uh-huh.
I could just type get lost and then turn it off. Like that. Instead, this sends them onward to somewhere else.
Uh-huh.
No strict name structure. Because you're playing around?
Playing around, uh-huh. Now I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect.
Does attack stand for something? Like, is it an acronym? Or?
No. Diatoms Attack is like an old 50s movie.
Uh-huh.
Like Attack of the 50-foot tall woman. Or I've turned the Diatoms into a monster that's attacking.
Uh-huh.
But they are benevolent, so it's funny. They never attack anybody.
Yeah, not really.
But
Good news, everyone.
when I spam emotes, they attack. When we raid people, they attack.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to go raid people. And if you wanted to come along, you can. And then you can use these new Diatom raid emotes that I have if you're a subscriber. Okay. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Laura, for entertaining us and running the SEM. See? And we'll take us to Numb the Geek.
Now you're just an spectator?
Yeah, now I'm just in the channel, but I brought all my people
everyone.
with me. See? And then we can turn this on and hear what they say. And over here,